I'm talking today about other kin. Yeah, I'm like a fucking bear or a demon. You know what? That's me. That is fucking me. No, I don't mean that's like me. I mean that fucking is me. I'm demon kin. I'm a fucking demon.
People call me human.
Just stuck in this shitty human body. That's perfectly biologically possible.
I'm a demon!
How is that possible except through the might of Satan?
I am a servant of the Dark One! Take you down to the Paradise City, where the grass is green and the girls are pretty. I am a demon! When I pull the string, you do my bidding!
From the frigid armpit of America, this is the Drunken Peasants podcast with Ben and TJ, bringing you opinions of the news from an altered perspective.
Fuck it! Hey, man. You got a joint? No, not on me, man.
I don't have facts to back this up.
It'd be a lot cooler if you did.
What the fuck are you talking about, atheist? It's okay.
You're nothing, KJ. You're garbage.
I just want to be light.
You're garbage.
And now, here are your hosts, Ben and TJ.
We'll do it live. We'll do it live. Fuck it.
Yes.
Do it live.
Hello, welcome to the Drunken Peasants podcast, episode 197.
I am a demon.
Oh, you're gonna do that shit?
I am a demon.
When you grabbed your tits, I almost died. Like that little part where you grab your titties and you were stroking them while rolling your eyes back and flicking your tongue.
I just commend someone for putting that together because that was brilliant.
Yes.
It was brilliant.
Yeah, we were laughing our asses off.
We were dying.
I wasn't amused.
You were too. I looked at you.
I was not amused.
You were chuckling.
The demon is not amused at your mockery.
He is demon kid. Fear him.
Demonkin.
Demon.
Does that actually exist? Are there demonkin?
Oh yeah, of course. God, Ben, check your privilege.
I mean, does it actually exist in what sense, you know?
You know, are there people that believe that they are?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes, there are.
Yes.
Obviously, Ben.
My faith in humanity meter is like.
Mine ran out a long time ago.
It should already be at 0.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's true.
I don't know. I don't know. I feel you though, because I always think mine is at 0, and then I'll read something else and be like, oh man,
shit.
Damn.
I had some left.
It's even lower than I mean, it goes even
like infant massacre. Like, oh well, yeah, humanity really, really sucks now.
Humanity is garbage.
We're going to bring Matt Dillahunty on in a little bit here. Before we do that, we wanted to talk about Patreon. Patreon.com/DP. We have decided to do a major overhaul of the private shows. The private shows need to kick it up a level.
Yeah, man.
I've never been to one.
Well,
you're gonna be tomorrow.
Tomorrow,
we're doing a private show tomorrow at 6.
You know, the people that see the private show tomorrow, we'll be able to tell everyone how epic they are. So those people that are not yet patrons will be able to tell.
I'm gonna punch Ben square in his ugly fucking face.
I've heard rumor and innuendo about these private shows, but I've never seen one. I've never participated in one. I want the depths of depravity. That's what I'm shooting for.
You will have my fist in your ass before the
delicious.
We cannot air that though, TJ.
We don't have to air
It'll have
it.
to be off camera.
Yeah.
All right.
But you'll be able to hear the scream.
The squelch.
Squeal, Paul, squeal!
The squelch as the void your fist leaves and my colons closes around.
Yes, it's gonna be like a.
This is our Drunken Peasants Deliverance episode.
It's gonna sound like that.
Except the piggy guy's gonna like it.
Oh my god.
Squeal, boy!
Yeah. Patreon.com/DP. Oh, people said that was a shitty sales pitch. Fuck, I fucked it up.
We didn't do a good job. All right, well, let's do it again.
Yeah, let's start from the top.
All right,
man,
from
right.
the top, everybody.
Okay, Patreon.
Patreon.com. We're doing live. We got an announcement about the private shows. We're amping that shit up to the next fucking level.
Yeah.
You guys join that shit. Become a patron. Become a supporter of the Drunken Peasants podcast. There's all sorts of fucking different levels of shit you can get from us.
Let me say this. There are certain things about this private show that I don't think we can legally discuss.
Well, well, first of all, Atlantic City.
Yeah, man.
Yeah.
And then also
Crazy time.
there are videos that we wouldn't normally play or discuss that are pretty fucking crazy.
Yeah.
Yeah, man. We should move our private shows to like Pornhub so we can review.
Absolutely. I'd have my dick out.
Yeah, man.
I mean, like if we were on Pornhub.
No, you wouldn't.
Yeah.
If we were on Pornhub,
We'd all have our dicks out.
No, we wouldn't.
We would we'd have a contest to see who can come first.
A circle
We'll all
jerk.
bust a nut right in the
I think I'm
camera.
gonna miss
Hey,
that
TJ.
one. I'm gonna miss that.
They'd be like, the
episode.
Drunken Peasant's just a big circle jerk. Literally.
Hey, TJ.
Ooh, yes.
I just won.
Oh,
Get wrecked.
shit.
Anyway, the private show is going to be fucking insane. I don't know what to expect. I'm going to be there. All of these guys are going to be there. There's going to be debauchery, and it's going to be a bacchanal.
I mean, the way TJ was acting last night when he was drunk, if he can move that to the private show.
Yeah.
Let's not
I
talk
was-
about late night slice.
I was drinking so much that the bartenders at the bar were like, "Sir,
Yeah.
we're concerned."
We're concerned.
I've never had that happen to me before.
Yeah.
TJ was cause for concern.
I was. We're concerned, sir.
But you know what? We all made it home safely.
Except for me.
It might have been the fact that you
was
were
killed.
TJ was yelling everything he was saying. Like there was no like, hey, let me tell you something. He'd be like, let me tell you something. Like 2 inches away from you, and you're like, don't yell, TJ. I can hear you.
What?
You were yelling. You yelled everything you said.
No, I don't think.
Yes, you did.
No.
You have no memory, TJ.
You're full of shit, Scotty.
Oh, you're lying, Scotty.
Yeah, full of shit.
Sober Scotty versus drunken TJ. Come on.
Drunken TJ wins anytime.
Nah, I just push you over.
Wow.
You fall on your fucking
Now I'll
ass.
fall on top of you.
Dude, you could barely fucking stand. You could barely. You're like leaning on everything. Like, oh shit, I gotta fucking support my
Wow,
fucking
you're really
massive weight.
You're seeing the true side of the Drunken Peasants here.
Yes.
Why?
Because we're talking about, how we went out and got all trash and
We did get
TJ
trash.
was knocking shit over and falling over.
I kept leaning on things that could not support my weight.
I was the lone sober observer of all of this
Yeah,
too.
you pussy.
Well, yeah, but it gives me a perspective.
It gives you a stupid fucking sober pussy
I was there. I just wasn't drinking.
Garbage.
Hashtag Paul was there.
Hashtag Paul was there, but hashtag Paul was garbage.
Yeah.
Yeah. Didn't drink. Something wrong with him.
Oh, yeah.
All right. That's all we were really going to plug. And if you enjoy the video, please give it a thumbs up.
Yes.
Or don't. We don't give a shit.
Yes, we
please
do.
We do.
I do actually, please, God.
Yes.
Please
Please do it. I was just kidding.
All right,
give us magical and instant approval.
now
suck your
we're going to
dick
bring
for a
on
thumb.
Matt Dillahunty. I'm just getting this set up. Okay. Here we go.
Should already be set up, Ben.
No, you never know how his audio
Should already be set up, Ben.
when he comes in.
You're lazy.
I am.
What's wrong with you?
I'm the laziest.
You're a shit person, Ben. Answer the phone, Matt Dillahunty. Come on. Answer your telephone.
Matt, are you going to pick up the telephone?
Yeah, he's there.
Oh, awesome. Sorry.
He's there.
Hello, Matt.
Hey, how you doing?
Good.
Pretty good. How are you doing?
I'm all right. Are we done? I guess, can they see video? I don't know. I shut down the stream.
You're good.
Yes. They
Yeah,
can
we see you.
And I'm going to share screens with you. You'll be able to see us in a moment here, too.
Okay. I apologize. I've been sick all week. This is the first day I've actually been able to talk. So there'll probably be a lot of coughs and, bullshit.
There's already a lot of coughs on
Yeah,
this
we
show
usually
for
cough a
other
lot.
reasons.
Well, I switched mics, and this one's actually a lot more sensitive, but I moved it off to the side because I know I'm coughing, and I don't want to,
Like I said, we cough all the time on this show. So it's all good.
We do.
There's usually a liberal amount of marijuana
Phlegm
on the premises.
Oh.
But anyway, so you're basically here because a week and a half ago, something like that, we had Dusty on the show. He was talking about an incident that happened, I think, on Facebook. Am I correct on that?
I guess that's, part of it.
Part of
yeah,
it? We already heard his story. Why don't you just tell us your side of events if you even want to talk about it?
Yeah, and it's really weird because at the end of the day, this is going to end up being little more than he said, she said, or he said. But
sure.
And there are people who are going to believe Dusty no matter what I say, and people who are going to believe me no matter what Dusty says. And I've debated, whether I should even bother addressing this, but there were a few things that were just kind of over the top, and a few things that people were really confused about, because from my perspective, this wasn't about a meme or anybody's position or opinion about a meme at all.
Okay.
I don't give a rat's. I'm happy to discuss the meme, and actually I responded to Dusty when he first asked me. I don't care. This idea that, Matt blocked Dusty because he has a different opinion about a meme is fucking bizarre. I ended up blocking Dusty because he wouldn't respect boundaries. But to kind of address what he said and go back, I guess I'll try to make it as short as possible, but who knows? So we first met Dusty in August of 2014 at a convention in the Denver area that he came to. Mm-hmm. And Dusty kind of told his version. I'll give you my perception or my view of what actually happened, because it seems like there was this sex-fueled fantasy version that Dusty came up with.
Yeah, it did seem that way.
In Dusty's version, your wife has the hots for Dusty, like hardcore.
Yes.
But this can only be manifested through hatred of him as a person.
And he suggested that you'd be okay with it too.
Well, since nobody's gonna ask, is that true? Does she have the hots for him? No. Okay. I'm just
hots for Dusty. He would definitely know. It wouldn't have had to been, she was picking at me like on the playground, so I think maybe she wanted my cock. No, he'd fucking know.
Okay. Well, there we go.
The other thing is, so he's like, she saw me and made a beeline for me. Well, what actually happened was she saw Candace Gorham and made a beeline to come over and sit at her table, because Beth's goal at conventions is to get high and have fun. And so she came over and sat next to Candace and didn't realize she was sitting next to Dusty. He turned around and introduced himself. She has no poker face. And so the first words out of his mouth after introducing himself was something like, "Oh, you don't like me very much, do you?" And she said something, either no or "I can't say that I do." And he started this, "Well, don't you think I'm funny? Come on now. Surely I'm funny. I'm charming. I think you'd like me if you actually got to know me and didn't just know me off of YouTube." And she was like, well, whatever. No, and I think she finally said something like, "Yeah, I think I've seen one video of yours that I liked, but the rest of it, no, I don't like you, and you're not funny." Well, he kept pestering her to take a selfie with him. And if you go back to his Facebook page, he posted, the first post from him was, "Hey, I met Matt Dillahunty and his wife. I think she kind of hates me." That's what he posted. And then later on that weekend, when he finally got her to take that selfie with him, he posted, "Oh, I won her over." Well, he didn't win her over. He badgered her into taking a selfie, and she finally agreed to it. She was trying to avoid him for most of the conference because she doesn't like him. And unfortunately, she wanted to hang around with me. And from her perspective, Dusty was around me a lot. I was doing magic stuff and he hung out. We also talked a bit because that was the month that I started up my Patreon. So we were talking about how it was going. And I actually shot the first interviews at that convention. And he was telling me how he and TJ and Jacqueline, I think, had recently started doing stuff on YouTube and selling t-shirts and everything was going really well. And he was kind of pitching me along those lines. And that's where I said, because he accused me of shit talking TJ, which I may have done. I don't know. My thing with this is my standard take on TJ is we'd never met. We'd never done anything together. I didn't know much about him. I don't watch a lot of, I've never seen an episode of the Drunken Peasants other than the little clip of Dusty from when he was on.
Yeah.
Sorry.
We don't care.
Yeah. I didn't figure it'd bother you. I run in different circles. And what I told him, or what I think I told him at the time, was that we have different methods, and I've seen things I agree with and things that I disagree with. And I'm tired of being aligned with different organizations and whatnot.
Right. So let's kind of skip ahead to this thing with the meme. Like what actually happened as a catalyst for you blocking Dusty? This meme was obviously at least part of it, but what actually happened in the comment section of that meme that got Dusty kicked out? What boundaries was he not respecting?
So he came over and he posted on her thing, and she said, "Don't post here." And he did it again, and she said, "Don't post here." And there were several times in a row where she just kept saying, "Don't post here, don't post here," because she didn't want to interact with him, and she didn't want to, have to block him. Look, it's her Facebook page. She gets to run it however she wants. If somebody has a problem with it, they should probably go to her. But That's not what anybody did. They didn't even remotely treat her like a person. Instead, Dusty went over to his Facebook page, and instead of saying, "Hey, I got in an argument with Beth Presswood," and then Matt Dillahunty's wife in parentheses, he just ignores her name, puts my name in there as, "I got in an argument with Matt Dillahunty's wife." Well, he wasn't in an argument with her. He was posting, and she kept saying, "Stop posting here," and didn't engage him. She told other people he was a professional troll or whatever, but she didn't actually talk to him or engage with him on the merits. And what he said in his post was that her position is that in America, only white people can be racist because they're the only ones who are inferior enough, which wasn't her position. It's not even the position of the meme. And it's like he took part of this meme thing and then exaggerated it to where she was making a claim that only white people were inferior enough to be racist. And that wasn't her position. And so I called him out on his boundary, his refusal to, respect people's boundaries, and called him a jackass and whatever else. And he ignored all of that. And his only response to me was, "Do you think black people can be racist?" And after quoting a dictionary, which was one of his argument tactics, and posting that, I realized he doesn't even understand what the hell this is about. I replied to him and told him exactly what I thought about whether or not black people could be racist, and that I told him what my position was, and that my wife actually agreed with him. And then I went ahead and blocked him because I was tired of dealing with him. And people, there's a bunch of people like, "Oh, you need an explanation. You have to come on and give your side, and you're a coward for not debating Dusty." I'm not even sure Dusty and I disagree on the merits of trying to come up with a new usage for the term racism.
Would you?
I don't know if we necessarily disagree.
I'm sorry, Matt. I just wanted to ask a question. Would you be comfortable giving like a hard yes or no answer to that question as to whether black people can be racist? Is there a definitive yes or no to that?
It depends entirely on what you mean by how you're defining racism, because this thing about citing a dictionary, dictionaries don't define words. They describe usage, and words can have different usage. I mean,
agree.
Once upon a time, when Hank Sr. sang Jambalaya, and he talked about, fill fruit jar and be gayo, I don't think he was talking about having gay sex. So gay, the usage of gay changed. And what Beth's meme, or it wasn't even her meme, she posted it, and she didn't even actually give her initial opinion on it to begin with. But it was saying, look, we have these words, bias, prejudice. I don't think bigotry was on this one, but it's also in the conversation, and racism. And if two words are used as synonyms, if what you mean by racism is what everybody means by prejudice, then we're kind of wasting. We've got two words here to say the same thing. And maybe because there are complicated issues here, we can start to use one of the words in a different way, so that prejudice and racism aren't synonyms. Prejudice refers to this particular thing, and racism we can take to apply to systemic racism or institutionalized racism. I don't necessarily think that's a good idea with regard to those words because they're so used. There's so much colloquial usage of them. I understand the goal of seeking clarity in language because, words can be changed and we can evolve how we use them. And if we get we get most people to agree that this is what we're going to mean when we say this word, then that's what it means.
Well, how would you define racism? What's the Dillahunty definition?
Well, I don't necessarily have a strict definition because it depends on the particular conversation we're having. If somebody says, "Hey, can black people be racist?" I can say, sure, if by racist you mean can they be prejudiced? Can they have views where they dislike someone purely based on what their race is? But if somebody means,
do you think people are just getting too hung up on language and just like what word is assigned to what thing? Is that basically what you're saying? So let me get back to the Dusty thing for a second because we have a few videos about race, so we can explore this more in depth as the show progresses. But I'm just going to kind of give my recap of your opinion about what happened with Dusty, and you just tell me if you agree with it. Okay. Basically, you were at this convention. Dusty kind of started imposing himself on your wife and you and trying to get you to shill his T-shirts and stuff. No. And, and then later on, he has some disagreement with this post that your wife posts. Your wife doesn't like Dusty. She doesn't want him commenting on her shit. So she just says, look, just basically fuck off. I don't want you here. I don't like you. I don't respect you. I don't respect your opinion. Just get lost. We're never going to travel in the same circles. We don't have the same sensibilities, whatever. He continues to antagonize because that's kind of like his way. You jump in, or I guess he drags you in with his posts.
He didn't actually tag me, but as soon as he mentioned me, I got.
But he goes on his Facebook and says Matt Dillahunty's wife is a cunt and she did all this stuff to me. So, and then he comes on our show and basically lays out the narrative of she's in love with him, or has a crush on him, whatever. She wants the D from him, and that's why she's acting like this. And you're a cuck, and he's talking shit. You're not talking as much shit about Dusty on this show, really, but I don't know. You didn't want him on here, though.
No, because so one of the things is I'd already said I tried to clarify what the actual problem was, and he ignored it and came back with something that was secondary or tertiary to what the actual problem was. And I have 7,000 plus unread emails right now and countless people trying to, get me to do a debate or whatever else. I've got to draw lines and say, okay, this is or isn't worth my time. I don't pay attention to everything. So let me see if this kind of clears it up. I know for a fact that you, TJ, did something at some point where I said, yep, don't like that at all. Yeah, that was kind of a shitty I can't for the life of me tell you what it is, because unless it's something that happens to me personally and has some impact, I just file it away and keep going. I don't see any reason to keep all this baggage around. It's one of the reasons why, apart from being on the board of directors for American Atheists, I'm not tied to anybody at all. I'm lone wolf atheist. And in part because every single association I've had, apart from, with Seth and Aaron, I guess, has left me burned. And I got tired of countless. I couldn't post a video. I post a video about Pascal's wager, and people are saying, "Oh, atheism plus or feminism, whatever." It had absolutely nothing to do with it. And it's like, I'll have conversations about those things, but there's a time and a place for it. And if all you're doing is running around like screaming, I like poop and turtles, whatever, I don't pay any attention to.
That would be a good T-shirt. I like.
I'm really glad Matt's here, though, because I was kind of talking to you guys before the show about, like, I've been a fan of Matt's for a long time. Allow me to fanboy for a second. I watched a lot of Atheist Experience back before I even knew that I was an atheist. You know, like, he was one of the formative guys. Brett Keane was the catalyst, but we won't go there. He, you know, Keane led me to Dillahunty, and Dillahunty led me elsewhere. You know, but I watched a lot of Matt, and where we diverge is on the feminism stuff. And I'm glad to see that Matt. but whatever, you know, I'm glad to see that Matt kind of feels maybe the same way I do. I don't dismiss people outright because I disagree with them. I still respect his style. So
see, I've never had any requirement that my friends agree with me or that the people that I work with agree with me. There are, of course, a couple of things, you know, where I'll draw lines, but one thing that's happened over and over and over again is somebody will say, well, Matt's good about this, but he's really terrible on issue X. And it doesn't matter what X is. It could be anything. And then I ask them, well, please tell me, what exactly is my position from your perspective, and why do you disagree with it? And without fail, nobody has ever been able to accurately say what my position is. Instead, they saddle me with something somebody else said, or something that, you know, that they're taking from some broad position. It's like on the feminist thing. People are of this mind that, oh, feminism is this. Well, that's not true. Nothing. I mean, we don't find that within atheism. We don't find it in secularism. Nothing. Feminism is not this. I mean, you've got Sansara Taylor and Taslima Nasreen both identify as feminists, and they are vehemently anti-porn and anti-sex work. And I am not, and neither are people like Greta Christina, who was involved in sex work and actually edits a porn magazine. So you can't say feminists are this. And I think that's a huge problem, which may make the label relatively useless. But my position repeatedly has been that what I mean by it is that I am for equality and an elimination to sexist principles and ideas within culture that result in an inequality, and that's it. And people who claim, oh, we have very different, you know, opinions about feminism, I'm like, okay, what is my position, and why do you object? And they can't.
All right, so Paul, can you do that? Can you define Matt Dillahunty's position on feminism and say why you disagree with it?
You know, it was really kind of nice to hear Matt say what he said about you earlier, when he said that he had disagreed with you very vehemently about something, but for the life of him, he can't remember what it is. I know that Matt has some association with the Atheism Plus movement, and I know enough about that to know that or maybe he doesn't. You know, like, he's been kind of thrown in with that morass. He's right, because when he says I'm a feminist because I'm for equality, that's what I meant in the last show when I said, you know, this third wave feminism thing is not necessarily feminism to me, because the feminism I grew up around was equality based. It was more akin to egalitarianism. Now, maybe it had some bullshit baggage, like the wage gap and stuff, which we can talk about later, I guess. But, you know, I get it. So no, I can't pin him down. I would like to know, are you a part of Atheism Plus? Do you endorse it? Do you not care about it? Do you not know anything about it?
Sure. So this actually ends up falling into a very similar category. I don't know that there's anything Atheism Plus that still exists, and I haven't mentioned it apart from being asked about it in, well, probably a year and a half more. I constantly get, you know, oh, Matt's Atheism Plus, because I was part of a back channel communication that was trying to put a label on something. Basically, there were a bunch of us who were atheists, who were also humanists, and we were talking about how other issues other than just the religious aspect might be important to people in the community. And the values that were originally presented to me as this is kind of the nuts and bolts of what Atheism Plus is, those are values I already had. They were positions that I already held. So I was, you know, there were several of us who weren't particularly fond of the name. I don't like the Bright label. I don't like the Atheism Plus label. But for what was presented to me as what it was going to be, it was nothing different from the positions that I'd held before. Now, what ended up happening is that there were some people who spoke about it, who said things that I agreed with, and some people who said things I didn't agree with. So it became, what does this even mean? And then there's a forum which a forum isn't a movement. And I find that I'm getting ready to give a talk in Florida about the lie of atheist community or secular community. And I'm not going to go into great detail here, but we're trying to put people in boxes. And that's never easy, even when you have a well-defined box. But when the box is being defined by 20 different people and you're passing people around and trying to put them in boxes, that's destined to fail.
I mean, there's not enough commonality between everyone who identifies as an atheist for it to all just fit in one neat package.
For me, atheism is completely and utterly meaningless in my life. It's not a label that I wear like a badge of honor or anything. It's just the most accurate descriptor of my feelings about this idea about a God that some other person imposed on society. It's not like this big clash of ideas to me. It just is what I am. I don't want it to. I don't want to have to say like, oh, what do you feel about God? I'm an atheist. Okay, well, feminism then. Like, I don't want that to be tied to me. I want to be able to use the word atheist as an accurate descriptor of my position without having it tied to all this other horse shit.
Yeah.
Whether I agree with it or not, me being an atheist should not inform somebody about my position on feminism. If they want to know that, they can ask me directly. No?
And I agree.
Okay. I just wonder why at the beginning when it was presented to
But
you.
Paul, this always happens. I mean, now the trendy thing now is like, especially in like the kind of circles we're in, is like progressive leftist. I've just heard it a million times applied to a million different people, and I'm like, I'm so sick of. It's like, and it always happens. It's like, you know, they threw Mad in a box. They really do. Everyone kind of wants to define you in their mind, and it's always this. Oh, well, you're this label because I don't like this label, and I don't like you, so I associate you with this. Basically,
Yeah.
You are latest negative buzzword. We don't have to take you seriously anymore. Yeah, go ahead.
I don't even know what leftist regressive actually means because of how it's been used. Somebody came on the other day to tell me that on social justice issues, I was hard left. And I said, okay, well, what do you mean? What position do I hold and how is it hard left? And he's like, well, just name one time you've disagreed with Obama or the Democratic Party. And I was like, oh, and he also said, that anybody who doesn't think abortion is murder is hard left. That there's, and I was like, really? There's no nuance. Anything less than murder means I'm hard left? I said, first of all, I part ways with my progressive friends on all kinds of things, like guns, for example. I'm not a gun nut. I have exactly one, and it's an antique. But I don't fall in line in the, you know, the extreme anti-gun positions. I'm sure I'm hard left on some issues. I'm sure I'm left on some issues. I'm probably centrist on some issues. But, you know, I got somebody coming in saying I'm a leftist regressive, and they can't even they don't even know what my position is, but they know that I'm there. And I was like, you don't know shit.
I hate to take the conversation here, but I'm kind of curious what you think about Donald Trump.
It's so I don't pay a ton of attention. I can't stand him, and there's no way I could ever vote for him. But I'm not exactly sure I could specifically say why, because I haven't kept up. It's not necessarily because he's terrible on X or terrible on Y. I just I don't like who he's in bed with. And,
that could be your president.
Matt, when you were a Christian, were you more conservative? Did you hold more conservative views at that point in your life?
Yeah, I was a full-on Rush Limbaugh ditto head. I have both.
Oh, wow.
Of his books. Yeah. And the interesting thing about that is going back and reading the books afterwards and listening to him, it was kind of eye-opening, and it leads into some of the talk I'm going to give in Florida and other stuff. And that is that this idea of putting people in boxes and making decisions, it's all based on what information you have access to. And if you're constantly being spoon-fed something that is consistent with what you already believe, you're going to run with it. And that's exactly what I did. And it was, I found my way out of religion.
So do you think that there was just a different thought process, or do you think it was just you were less critical? I mean, what is it? What ingredient was added to your personality that made you be able to transition from that? I mean, because it wasn't just being an atheist. There was some sort of change in your personality or in the way you looked at things. I mean, what do you think was added to you or subtracted from you that lifted that veil from your eyes and you realized, like, Rush Limbaugh's full of shit?
Yeah, well, one of the things is that I didn't just realize Rush Limbaugh is full of shit, as it turns out. So I'd applied, I'd been a skeptic and I'd applied it to everything but my religion. And there was just a moment in time where I cared more about whether what I believed was true. I was convinced it was, and I wanted to find a good way to defend it. And as soon as I started finding things that I believed that weren't true or that I couldn't defend, I basically did a full life inventory. Let's figure out, hey, if you're not sure about this or you don't have good reason to believe this, what about that? And if most of my positions on, death penalty, abortion, whatever, were based on my religious beliefs and that goes away, I've got to reevaluate them. I think there are some things, if I went back and looked through it, where perhaps Rush Limbaugh was right and I would still agree. Just not nearly as many as I did before. And it was because I had only been presented with his side of the story, essentially. He made a good, compelling case that seemed to be backed by facts. And it reminds me of Josh McDowell's Evidence That Demands a Verdict, the great Christian apologist book. If that's all you ever read and you're a believer, that is solid. And it's not until you say, hey, let me find out whether or not this book is true and reasonable, and you investigate what people say that is critical of the book, that you can get out of that.
That process that you talked about a little earlier about taking inventory, like the full life inventory, was that a fun process for you? Like, did you have a good time doing it? Like dissecting your entire belief system and holding it up to the sunlight? Like, was that good or bad or?
Oh, it was awesome. It was, it was liberating. I found that there were some, obviously I was opposed to murder then. I'm still opposed to murder. I just found better reasons for it. But it was fun. And actually, I did a talk not too long ago about the way my brain works. I was in software QA for more than 15 years. And that's this process of, picking it apart, trying to break it. It's very analytical. It is very, let's look at it from another direction. And for years, I thought that it was a very negative thing because you're constantly in this is broken, this is broken, this is broken. And it dawned on me that it's really a positive thing because you can't identify that something is broken unless you know what it should look like if it were working. And that the goal is to find the things that actually work. And that's why early on, I said, let's keep the good and get rid of the bad wherever we find it, whether it's in religion or anything else.
I want to watch some videos. Let's take a look at that Oscar.
I had one more question.
Okay,
when you do debates, do you feel more comfortable debating Christians than people of other religions because you know Christianity best?
Yeah, probably. I'm probably going to be debating a Muslim this year. I'm obviously more comfortable with Christianity, but I'm also comfortable with the generalized theism and deism thing. And I know a bit about different world religions. So, I'm not always going to be the best choice for every possible debate.
I want to look at this Oscar video because I want to see where Matt stands on this. Go. Two fat, bald, bearded men side by side.
You smell wonderful, Matt.
Thank you, man.
All right.
It's my Doc Eason's beard balm.
Oh, dude, I use Badger. I use that Badger stuff.
Yeah. All right, let's take a look at this. I'm kind of curious what you think about this because your whole position on this race thing. This is yeah.
It's the same thing.
Oh, this is the one we decided not to use.
Yeah, I guess so.
Okay, I guess we don't have it, but basically people are complaining about the Oscars. They said the Oscars are too white. The Academy has responded by saying they're going to put some more minorities in positions of power within the people who decide the nominations and stuff. What do you think of that, Matt?
I don't know. So I don't have any objections to them having more diversity among the people who are making decisions. I think provided that everybody on the panel is actually qualified to determine. Things like the Oscars are pretty much it seems almost like an insider thing anyway. I don't know who the people are who are voting or why. Or
yeah,
what
my whole thing is you know, the you know, Jada Pinkett Smith, Spike Lee, all these black celebrities are boycotting the Oscars, speaking out against the lack of people of color nominated and stuff. I mean, it just seems really weird to me that they want to impose this racial quota on the Oscars and say, well, we need this many black nominees or it's racist. I mean, you know, I mean, I'm not saying that it's not a meritocracy, really. I mean, it's supposed to be. It's supposed to be based on the merit of performance, but there's a lot of political stuff, sure. But I mean, it seems really strange, though. I mean, like people like Will Smith acting like, you know, that there's some boot heel against his throat preventing him from, you know, this prestige and recognition. Here's a guy that's worth $240 million acting like he's being put down or kept down by the man or something. I mean, I don't know. I mean,
I don't necessarily know that he's doing it on his own behalf. So I'm generally opposed to quotas because I don't see that is actually a solution, and it's you know, there's a lot of like a pandering, placating element to it that I just never liked quotas. But recognizing that we're not completely a post-racial society by any stretch of the imagination, and that we can work towards making sure that we are not engaged in. So racism, acts of racism get divided into implicit and explicit. And explicit is the, you know, we're going to lynch you or burn crosses and talk about how much we hate blacks. Mm-hmm. And implicit is just the general, the policies that are negatively affecting one race more than another. And it's not necessarily an individual, and it's not necessarily an intent thing. It's kind of, you know, this is where we earlier were talking about systemic, institutionalized racism. It's not done so much as in the, you know, we've got to keep the blacks down. It's more about who we are just generally and protecting our own. You know,
But do you think that the Oscars not having enough black nominees is like indicative of that in any way? Because this has been a big social media phenomenon for 2 years now.
So I think that it's indicative of the fact that we're not beyond race, but it's not just so like saying there weren't enough black nominees doesn't actually look at the full problem. The full problem may be that there weren't enough black films, that there weren't enough black actors, that there weren't enough people getting, you know, opportunities for the big roles, that the biggest roles were still, you know, the ones that were most likely to be nominated were still going to whites. So it doesn't matter if you change the people who are nominating and voting at all, if you don't change the way we go about casting roles and telling stories.
But I mean, look, I mean, black people make up what, 11, 12% of the population? I mean, there's 5 nominees for Best Actor.
Respect to film.
Even if it's just, I mean, it should mostly be white people, just by law of averages, right? I mean, just by probability.
But a huge element you're missing is basically the box office, the money they make off films. And it's been pretty much well known, like, you need big name actors. And generally, now that the box office is, it's more about international box office, China and these other countries, they just don't want to see black faces, and even Star Wars and actually did that. They even though one of the main characters is black, they kind of downplayed it in China because like, well, it's not that prominent. I mean, they think about the dollars ultimately. That's what it matters to them most.
And that ignores the fact too that a lot of the biggest movie stars in the world are black. They're just making shit movies that aren't worthy of Oscars. They're making action films and shit. And that, you know what? Maybe that's the problem. Maybe there aren't enough meaty roles for these black actors. Maybe they're kind of typecast into these action-y type of roles.
Well, people are complaining mostly about the fact that Will Smith wasn't nominated for Concussion, which is not even a well-reviewed movie.
It's not.
No.
His performance is praised, but the movie itself...
It's a bad movie.
Straight Outta Compton. I haven't seen it, so I can't speak to its artistic merits, but... you know, I just think it's ridiculous because I mean, like, there's so many times that people have been passed up for Oscars that had nothing to do with race. Stanley Kubrick never won a Best Director Oscar. Alfred Hitchcock never won a Best Director Oscar. These are 2 of the greatest directors of all time. They were never recognized. I think that they gave Hitchcock a Lifetime Achievement Award or something.
Yeah.
To make up for it. They might have done the same with Kubrick. I don't know. But they never won Oscars in directing. But, you know, if they'd have been black, we'd probably be sitting here right now. It would just be like conventional wisdom that they were passed up because they were black. Well, maybe they were just passed up because Hollywood is fucked up and it's all political. You know, the best performance is voted on by the Actors Guild. I mean, you know, they're not sitting there looking at objective artistic merits or something.
I think we'd all agree that we don't live in a totally post-racial society, right?
Sure.
No.
Okay. So, and I think we'd all agree. I think it's good that we'd all agree that there is a problem with black representation or ethnic representation in movies, but the answer is not shoehorning bullshit into the Oscars or placating black people by nominating a movie that would otherwise not be considered.
Another thing that these people aren't factoring in is, you know, it's obvious that the Oscars is going to respond to this. They're already picking more. They say they're just stacking the I don't know what the board that selects the nominees is, but they're stacking the board with more minorities. Whatever, that's fine. But I mean, what it's really going to amount to, though, is just a racial quota, which now every black actor who is nominated, people are just going to look at it and be like, oh, this is just some affirmative action bullshit.
Exactly.
This isn't because of merit. They're just there because they're there to meet some stupid quota so people don't whine on Twitter.
I mean, look, but it kind of reeks of that, doesn't it? If you look at it from a purely employment standpoint, okay, you got a white guy sitting in the job who's been nominating movies for however many years, and there's a black guy, you think he'd be good at the job, so you boot that guy, you give the black guy the job. Not based on merit, based on the fact that he's black, right? Because if that guy's better, why didn't you fire the white guy a couple of years ago and hire the black guy? Why didn't it just naturally happen? Why does it have to be imposed by some fake moral outrage? That's why it reeks of affirmative action. That's why people react that way, because it kind of is, isn't it?
Yes, I think it is. I don't know. What does Matt think?
So I don't necessarily disagree with that. The question is, how else do you fix it? Because when we're talking about things like systemic racism, when we're talking about, you know, a built-in prejudice, there's no corrective mechanism. So while I'm opposed to quotas, one of the intents of quotas, no matter how, you know, terrible they might be, is to serve as a kind of a kickstart way of hoping that the system is ultimately self-correcting. Because if the actual problem is that, you know, in America, we still have this kind of racist distrust of black bodies, then they're less likely to get positions, which means they're less likely to get roles, which means they're less likely to get nominated, then they're less likely to get on the nominating committee. I don't like the idea of, oh, well, let's just change this and hope that we have quotas. But to suggest that if it were actually based on merit, we would have just done it the other way previously, I think we've already shown we don't. You know, I mean, we've done this over and over again, where when we test for who's more likely to get the job based on qualifications, there's still a bias in the system that may just go to who we are, but I don't know how to fix it, and I wouldn't pretend to. And I don't know that, you know, yelling on Twitter, as strange as it may be, might end up being one of the things that kickstarts the system. But, you know, I don't have a solution to racism.
I just don't even know that I feel like there's a problem in terms of the Oscars.
Me neither.
You know, we can talk about other racial issues. I mean, I think if you talk about, you know, the courts or law enforcement, you know, there's tangible figures you could point to that are indicative that there is some sort of racism going on. I don't think you can declare that there's racism simply because you're not satisfied with the number of black nominees.
When black actors or black directors or black filmmakers make heartbreakingly good movies, they get the Oscar nod.
Forrest Whitaker did.
Jamie Foxx did. Right? Sidney Poitier did. Maybe the problem is the studios. I don't think the problem is the Oscars. I think the problem is the studios. They're not... I've seen beautiful things on the internet that I think, wow, why isn't this a movie? Why isn't this a script? People are passing up things because of maybe an entrenched old white guy thing that happens. Maybe that, I don't know if that's true, but maybe it is of Hollywood. But I don't think the Oscars as a body have a problem nominating black people when they do wonderful things.
And you know, as Scotty talked about earlier, the Chinese market is now so important to Hollywood. I mean, the international market in general. And you know, basically the general rule is unless you're Will Smith, black actors just don't really sell well over there.
It's a business. This is the entertainment business.
Are they supposed to shoot themselves in the fucking foot in the name of progressive values?
No, greed is too strong, and they're not. A studio is going to any entertainment organization, as a general policy, it seems, is to let's just try to be as bland and inoffensive and generic as possible.
Well, let's move on to another subject because I think this has been sucked dry. No, that's still on the same subject. Let's change gears. He might be a little lost on that. Let's go to let's play the strategic butt covering.
Okay.
I want to hear Matt Dillahunty talk about this.
Yeah, this should be interesting. Have you seen this video by Anita Sarkeesian, Matt?
Oddly enough, I actually have, and it's one of only 2 that I think I've ever watched from her. Somebody sent me the link yesterday.
Neat. Well, you get to offer up your opinion now.
What are we waiting for?
It's horseshit.
I love Matt. He already offered his opinion.
Oh, God.
Yeah, turn this shit.
Yeah, I want to skip her intro.
It's horrible.
It's not even that long, though.
It is really long, honestly. For you two.
If you want to get to know a character, learn about their interests, goals, or desires, their butt is probably not going to give you that information. It won't tell you much about who they are or what they're thinking or feeling at any given time.
When was it ever
Video game designers
purported to
often
be
choose
that?
Put tremendous focus on the butts of certain characters.
According to her.
What's that?
Can tell you how much they work out.
Yeah.
That's
We're
true.
going to almost absurd lengths to avoid calling attention to the butts of others. These carefully crafted choices developers make about camera angles and clothing significantly impact how players think about and relate to these characters. Third-person games with female protagonists typically display those characters in a way that gives players a full-body view. A classic example of this is the original Tomb Raider games, which are presented from a third-person perspective wherein protagonist Lara Croft's entire body is visible. In these early Tomb Raider games, Lara's butt is typically right in the center of the screen.
I mean, what the fuck? I mean, because they're showing her full body, that automatically means everyone's eyes are being drawn to her butt. I mean, there's a huge,
impossibly small waist.
Yeah, man, look, that is pretty crazy. She's like more than an hour.
Yeah, she's barely any of the map. It's like you're gonna be looking around. It's a game you're running around and going and breaking into places and shit like that.
No one's paying attention.
No, you're just
to
looking at her
snowy
ass.
mountaintop
That's all
or
you're doing.
Any of the obstacles or the gameplay or anything like that. Everyone's just focused in on that ass, that polygony fucking 1996 graphics ass.
Square ass.
Ooh, yeah.
I like a big square ass, personally.
It's my favorite.
Angles
The
on
camera
that
orientation,
ass.
which, along with the sexualized clothing the designers choose to
I don't know. Okay, look, the sexualized clothing thing. Can we just all agree that the female body, and in particular the female ass, has a cultural significance that the male ass does not? Can we just all agree that it's just a more pleasing fucking thing to look at?
Cultural
most of the time.
Explain the cultural significance.
I don't know. It's just like there's an underpinning of female ass everywhere you go, and women participate in it willingly because they know that the booty has power. Doesn't it, TJ?
It is a totem of power.
It really does, though. Can we just admit that, like, we don't want to see video games with men wearing stuff that hugs, like, big bubble asses? Like, it just doesn't... Maybe some people do.
I do. TJ's like, fuck yeah.
I'm cool.
Whatever.
Okay, that's not the market they're shooting for.
I know.
TJ.
That's what I'm saying. You know, I'm weird. You know, they shouldn't cater to my taste.
No, not at all.
They should cater to more mainstream tastes. But you know, this square ass. I mean, no one is ogling this.
Yeah, you are.
No one is jerking off to this.
Someone would definitely. I mean, okay, so we can talk about whether or not this is bullshit, but to say nobody was jerking off to this,
no. Look, they were jerking off. No. Let me qualify that. They were jerking off to Lara Croft
for sure.
Yes,
but they were jerking off to what these polygons and shit represent. Like, they weren't jerking off to this.
I grew up.
They were jerking off to what, like, the representation.
I grew up
They knew
in
what
this
Lara
era.
Croft is supposed to look like canonically. They just couldn't create it graphically at this time.
I was jerking off like a zoo monkey at the time that this video game that's on screen right now was released. And I will tell you this. I was not like, let me go fire up my PS1 so I can get real nice and hard and jerk it. No, like I probably have fapped to Lara Croft a couple of times in my life, but it was never like while I was playing the game. I was titillated by the idea of Lara Croft, about this, hot, powerful woman. That's hot.
Dominating.
The game is...
Paul was like, raid my tomb,
do we know
baby.
Paul's not good at multitasking now? You could have done both at the same time.
And if we're gonna police that, like, there are people that like watch games where they're totally average looking people walking around in socks, and they're like, oh fuck yeah, it's my thing, socks. Are we gonna police everybody's kink? Women walk around dressed like Lara Croft all the time, willingly.
That is not a good environment for a snowy mountain. That is not a good outfit for a snowy mountain.
Maybe not.
We will say that.
No, definitely not.
To me, though, this whole... Go ahead.
Go ahead. No, you go ahead.
This whole particular issue is... so most, from what little I've seen from Anita, there are a handful of things where I think she makes a point, and quite often I find myself in disagreement because she's pointing out things that the video games are reflecting, not causing. Reflecting heterosexual male gaze as, the de facto standard. If we're going to have a video game heroine, there's a reason that Angelina Jolie played it and not Rosie O'Donnell. Not that there's anything wrong with Rosie, and somebody's...
There is. Did you see the Flintstones? Come on.
It's going to be somebody's fetish, but if you're going for a bigger market, then you go for somebody like Angelina Jolie. And to say that, oh, well, the women's butts are highlighted and the men's butts are covered, yes. Because when it comes to the men, the things that are generally attractive are going to be the muscles, the biceps, the chest, the chiseled jaw,
the voice,
the haircut, whatever. And on women, it's going to be tits and ass. And when you're going to have a heroine in a movie that is athletic and has to do something, there's a certain shape that's going to automatically come with it. So to say, oh, well, they put her in these clothes so that, you would ogle her. Yeah, they probably did. What's wrong with making her hot?
Nothing.
Yeah, nothing.
That's what I'm saying. But like,
I don't know how you get from she's hot to therefore she's less valued.
Right. That's what I don't understand. Like, I don't get this. I don't get this idea that if someone is presented as sexually appealing, all of a sudden their humanity has just been sapped from.
They're merely a sex option.
Oh, now she is but an empty husk for me to spray my seed in or something. It's stupid.
Lara Croft is smart.
Yes.
Mega athletic. Like, she's over the top perfect in many different ways.
She's a total fucking badass. Total hardcore fucking rich, world traveling, dungeon exploring, hot, dual pistol wielding, backflipping, bear wrestling fucking badass.
And
why do feminists have a problem with this character?
Because her butt.
Yeah, I played the Uncharted series too, and Nathan is, I don't know, Nathan looks hot most of the time too, and whether they're showing his butt or not.
So does the awesome hot chick that he always has with him that's equally as badass as him and saves him like 90% of the time. But we have a problem with it because her tits are prominent.
Yeah, there are certainly sexist representations in video games just like there are anywhere else in culture, and you're going to find porn that is sexist and porn that is not. To me,
is the porn that is sexist bad? Like, is it bad to like sexist porn? Like, I mean, I don't see
necessarily know that that's the case, because some of the things that, some of like the strong BDSM type things, where somebody's, subservient, as long as it's done in the context of sex play. I mean, you're talking about fetishes, which doesn't necessarily go to the totality of their character or value. I mean,
I'm finding it very hard to disagree with you on much, Matt.
I know.
It's really pissing me off. I'm trying to find somewhere where I can just be like, aha, fuck Matt Dillahunty.
Well, I learned
saying things I totally disagree with.
I learned my lesson with
you're saying things that make sense, and it's angering me.
I learned my lesson with Milo Yiannopoulos, but I did come in here hoping to kind of poke Matt with a stick and get him to say something dumb. And he just like every time I do, like I try, he just like says something that makes total sense.
Well, I'm sure that I will say something at some point that we vehemently disagree on.
Well, maybe.
It's not seeming that way, but we'll see.
Maybe we're just falling in love.
I think we've explored this stupid.
Okay.
Yeah, fuck this shit.
All right. So
is America racist? How about that?
Is America okay? This is a Prager Institute video.
Okay, so their answer is going to be no.
Yeah, and of course they get a black guy to deliver their message.
Sure, right? Yeah, makes sense.
Is racism still a major problem in America?
Define
President
major.
Barack Obama certainly thinks so. He said that racism is in our DNA. Really? If racism is in our DNA, doesn't that mean it's immutable, unchangeable?
No.
DNA. Do you know what DNA is?
Yeah, DNA relies on mutability. You retard.
Oh wow, that's a really bad start.
I'm not, is because the DNA isn't immutable.
Yeah.
Plus, I love how you take a metaphor from the president. Not necessarily saying that DNA was, the foundation, metaphoric DNA, and now we're going to go to literal DNA and get it exactly backward.
Isn't it great when a video, like in the intro, is already so fucking incorrect that you just know it's going to be awesome to watch?
Yes, it is.
And dramatically so. In 1960, 60% of Americans said they would never vote for a black president. Almost 50 years later, the black man who said racism is in America's DNA was elected president. And 4 years later, re-elected.
Social progress. Wow. Okay, so there was social progress from the 1960s to 2008.
This example of racial progress. There are many others. Take interracial marriage. As William H. Fry of the Brookings Institution wrote, sociologists have traditionally viewed multiracial marriage as a benchmark for the ultimate stage of assimilation of a particular group into society.
You know what the best part about this is? As this black man reads this off of a teleprompter, he was hired by Prager because of racism. They were like, get us a Negra. Get us a big old black buck to read this. That'll lend it some credibility. Yeah. Get a big one. Dark-skinned. Kinky hair.
Very calculated.
Marriages were still illegal in 16 states until 1967. And a 1958 Gallup poll found that
all right, just pointing out that race matters are better than they were in the 60s is not the same as saying that racism is over. I mean,
yes, it is, TJ.
Oh, okay. I was mistaken.
You keep interrupting the black guy. You're erasing his blackness.
Oh, that's true. I'm erasing his experience.
TJ, stay in your lane.
Black-white marriages. Today, that number is 87%.
Oh.
In 1960, of all marriages by blacks, only 1.7% were black-white. Today, it's 12% and rising. Now, what about racial profiling?
It's 12%. They're just like, it's rising, and then they just like blast the fucking line.
It goes into
pretty soon it's gonna be 100%, and I'm not even gonna be any white-on-white marriage anymore.
And abuse of blacks by police. Doesn't that prove that racism remains a major problem? In the summer of 2014, Ferguson, Missouri became ground zero for this accusation when a white policeman shot and killed an unarmed black teenager. While a Department of Justice...
Do we really need like the visual aid of the words shot and killed popping up on the screen?
Yes,
this is how would we just not understand
shot and killed
if we didn't see that helpful little like hint?
This is how you make videos that your average stupid piece of shit will watch all the way to the end.
There's words on the screen.
It's fast.
Official.
Justice investigation of the incident cleared the officer of any wrongdoing it did accuse the city's police department of racial bias. But what was the Justice Department report's most headline-grabbing stat? The gap between the percentage of blacks living in Ferguson, 67%, and the percentage of those stopped by police for traffic violations who are black, 85%, an 18-point discrepancy. Racism, right? Not so fast. Blacks comprise 25% of New York City, but account for 55% of those stopped for traffic offenses, a 30-point discrepancy, far bigger than that of Ferguson.
Okay.
Why isn't the NYPD, a department that is now majority-minority, considered even more institutionally racist than the Ferguson PD?
I've heard plenty of people say the NYPD is racist.
Yeah.
I think it's poisoning the well here to, this isn't racist? Well, yeah, maybe it might be.
Well, yeah, like, he's talking about one incident of police racism and holding it up under the scrutiny as if it represents all the other incidents that happen every day. As if it's oh, shit. I tried to say a word I don't know how to say. Analogous. Analogous. As if it's analogous.
It's confusing because it starts with anal.
It does. I know. That really does trip me up.
You just want to say anal. You don't even want to go with the
anal.
Gus.
Anal Gus.
The answer is you cannot have an honest discussion about police conduct without an honest discussion of black crime. Though blacks are 13% of the population, they commit 50%.
Oh, here we go, TJ.
Yep.
Uh-oh.
And almost always,
well, it's true.
The victim is another black person. Just as most white homicides.
It's not false. Is it false? Why is it false?
To say they commit 50% of the crimes. So when you talk about who is caught and tried and convicted, that's separate from who is actually committing. I mean, if there's, let's say there's, 10 black crimes and 8 of them are prosecuted, and 10 white crimes, only 2 of them are prosecuted, you don't get to say that they're making up 80%.
But even like in violent crimes, though, it's usually like black people are disproportionately responsible for like a large percentage of violent crimes. Those aren't really going to be like, if you look at things like marijuana arrests and stuff, there's clearly like a bias, because even though more white people smoke weed than black people, more black people get in trouble for it.
Sure.
But with
there's
something
probably
like
a lot of different biases.
Sure. But with something like violent crime, I mean, if something happens to someone, and it's not, there's not going to be this giant discrepancy there, the same way there would be with like a drug offense, because that's a serious crime when you do violence against somebody. No one's getting, no white person is just getting a slap on the wrist. Like, oh, well, yeah, you robbed someone at gunpoint, but you're white, so go on.
The cops aren't ignoring the high-class murders going on in the white neighborhoods. They're investigating those just as zealously as they're investigating the murder in the hood.
Right.
So
when I said that there were many different areas of bias there, one of them is that I think probably, and I don't think this will be shocking, one of the biggest contributors to crime is going to be poverty.
Well, there it is.
We agree on this.
Yeah, no, we agree totally on this. I think this is less a racial issue and more an issue of poverty. In poor white communities, the crime rate is comparable to poor black communities. I'm sorry, go ahead.
So if we're in agreement that one of the big issues here is poverty, but you live in a country where poverty disproportionately affects blacks than it does whites.
Yes.
Then that makes it not an explicit racism thing, but an implicit racism thing, that it is implicitly affecting this. And it can be a self-enforcing cycle.
But, regardless of the underlying reasons, it still leaves us in a position where black people are disproportionately violent.
You can't ignore the underlying. See, this is where
I don't want to ignore it.
Yeah,
but you still have to acknowledge the reality of black people are more likely to be violent.
Yes, I will. If that's all we're talking about, then yes. Right now, it's more likely if there's a murder in this country. It's like if I was a detective, I'd start sniffing around a black guy before a white guy.
I don't know if I'd go that far. You should justice should be blind.
Yeah.
I'm not blind, though.
You're not blind.
No, I'm just kidding. But like, what I'm saying is that I'm willing to go that far and say yes, black people. I'm not saying black people are more violent, See, that's where I take exception to what you're saying. They're not inherently.
And you're
more violent.
speaking.
I'm not saying that either.
In the context of the United States.
Yes.
Black people
Yes.
in the United States.
Yes. And I think that is traced, like Matt does, directly to poverty. And we need to tackle the issue of black poverty if we want to tackle the issue of black crime.
I mean, it does go a little
floating it like a big turd and not qualifying it. That's what AIU does. That's where he and I diverge. Sorry, that's where he and I diverge. Is because I agree. Okay, black people commit more crimes.
You kept trying to tell my cousin. What the heck would you do?
Why? Why do they commit more crimes? Well, the answer is poverty. That's the answer I want him to give. He's never going to give it, though, because he just floats it. It's not useful. The statistic isn't useful in this conversation at all, because you don't even talk about why. The why matters, right?
Yeah, but I mean, there's other whys, too, besides just poverty, I think.
Like what?
I mean, there's cultural distrust of authority and stuff like that, which I can relate to because I don't trust authority either. But
Which also is traceable to poverty because poverty eats the shit of authority.
Sure, of course. But, it still kind of destabilizes those communities and stuff because they don't succumb to whatever structures, someone tries to put in place because they just inherently distrust it.
They're poor.
I mean, it's kind of like when people in African countries were refusing aid. It was actually Muslim countries, but some of them might have been African. They were refusing aid from the United States, medical supplies and stuff, because there was rumors going around that it was poison. It was going to make them infertile. It was a scheme, and you see those same kind of conspiracies floating around in the black community, like they trying to sterilize us. The white man invented crack to keep us down,
and that's a problem of education, right? Yes. I think it is, which is and their lack of access to decent education is a problem of poverty.
But they're not, they don't trust education produced by the white man. So,
would you?
I don't know if I would or not. I've never been in that position.
I've never been there either.
You guys are regressives.
Well, also a big thing in these minority communities is there's a lack of banks, there's a lack of grocery stores, there's a lack of a lot of basic amenities and services that a lot of us probably just don't even think about.
Plenty of liquor stores and gun stores, though.
Well, check cashing services, things like that.
Yeah,
non-traditional banking.
Payday loans.
Yeah, very high fees, yes.
Just take a look at it, man. I agree. We're not post-racial at all. We're not. But shit like this, floating this little statistic around, black people are more violent. No, they ain't. Well, black people commit more crimes, though. Yes, they do. Well, then they more violent. No, they ain't. You take a white man, you invert the fucking scales right now. You take your average poor white guy.
Okay, Paul.
Yeah. What?
Other whites.
We're going to progress.
In 2012,
move on.
according to the
sorry.
Center for Disease Control,
Let's move
police
on.
killed 123 blacks, while, by the way, killing over twice that many whites. But that same year...
But there's more than...
Well, I believe when you look at the... I think it was The Guardian that did it, or it might be... they were compiling the police deaths, of unarmed people, or armed people even... The majority of them were still white, but yeah, I mean, we live in a majority white, or whatever you consider white to be, at least demographically, or like the census, white majority nation. So of course, more white people are going to be killed by the police.
Right, but there's 2 times as many white people shot, but there's something like 10 times as many white people. So it's really not a very good statistic, unless I miss some qualifier at some point.
Blacks killed over 6,000 people, again, mostly other blacks. What about traffic stops? Unlike when responding to dispatch calls, police officers...
I mean, come on. We've all had the... well, I don't know if we've all had this situation. I'm going to get in some anecdotal shit here.
Don't do it, TJ.
But my friend Galen had a very black car. You know what I mean? Like a car that looks like black people. It's like an old Cadillac.
Like a 6'4" Impala?
No, it was
Did it have switches on it? Like...
Yeah.
Okay, cool.
Sort of. It looked like a car that black people would drive.
Nice.
We were driving home. The police were like following us and shit. Following us back to our house. Like, what the fuck are they doing here? Because we were in a very white area. Mm-hmm. We pulled up to my house. We got out. They saw we were white, and immediately they're like, oh, they're white. Let's go. They just drive off. They're like, oh, it's cool. It's white guys. So
they were just making sure you were safe.
Don't tell me the police aren't profiling. I mean, I've seen it.
Oh, they definitely profile. I mean, if anyone said otherwise, we would all laugh because we know it's not true.
But is the profiling justified because of this disproportionate crime that's going on? I mean, is it incumbent upon the police to pay more attention to black people because of this? I'm playing devil's advocate here. I don't actually think so, but I want to throw the question to the room.
Matt, go for it, buddy.
I don't actually know that I have much to offer on the topic. I mean, I don't have much in the way of statistics. It's not been my kind of field, and a bunch of white guys sitting around speculating. I stopped kind of speculating on shit that I don't understand or know about a long time ago.
I think we know enough to speculate. I don't think that there can be a barrier. Like, by that standard, black people shouldn't be able to say shit about white America because they don't understand the white experience.
That's not what I'm saying. Just saying that I don't have enough information. So when you look at this, when you start talking about this, I think the video is playing with statistics. I think some of the videos that would come out in opposition to it are playing with statistics. When you say, oh, well, they commit more crimes. Yes, but you haven't talked about the why. And maybe we get to poverty and, how big of a problem is poverty? And is it the result of kind of systemic racism where there's, this underprivileged group that are stuck in a cycle of, where they're taught to distrust, and then they do distrust, and then that reinforces the distrust, et cetera, going on down the line. Yeah. I'm more concerned with, what can we do to fix it than point blame, I guess.
But I think if you have to assign blame, I think that's part of the process of fixing it.
Yeah.
But let me talk to you about statistics, though, because you said something interesting about people on both sides, maybe misusing statistics against each other. I mean, isn't that almost the reason why statistics exist at this point? I'm kind of in the camp of lies, damned lies, and statistics. Honestly, I mean, it seems like you can make a statistic say anything you want it to. There's plenty of contradictory statistics out there that they're bought and paid for by people with different ideologies, and you can always swing the numbers some way to make it seem as though something's true. I don't put much stock in them anymore. Am I wrong? Should I just be more diligent in my reading of these statistics? What's the deal?
I tend to look at the statistic and I only judge it based on what it's actually saying. So you start talking about, lots of people want to say that atheists have higher IQs or are smarter or better educated, and they'll find no shortage of studies to cite for it. First of all, I don't put that much stock in IQ. I've known people with incredibly high IQs who were boneheadedly stupid on all kinds of things, and people with low IQs who were actually rather insightful and almost genius in some regards. But when we actually look at the statistics, it's like, oh, well, it makes sense that people who have higher degrees are less likely to be religious. Yeah, I'll buy that. But that doesn't tell you anything about smarter. It's not like my IQ went up after I stopped believing. I just had different information.
You did stop listening to Rush Limbaugh, though, so maybe there is some correlation.
Maybe so.
But I don't think that. I think my IQ.
I'm a little gray on statistics. Like for me, oh, sorry, Matt, you cut out.
No,
I didn't mean to step on you. What'd you say?
I said, if anything, it probably went down because what we generally know about IQ is that it tends to decline as you age.
That's true.
Yeah, I think after 26, it's all downhill, if I remember correctly.
The statistics thing, like, for me, it's more of a gray thing. Like, I think they are valuable, just not in a conversational setting like this. Like, I don't bring a statistics book to have a talk about race, and just because we're not doing that, I don't think it's invaluable to have a bunch of fat white guys sit around and talk race. I think we have, at least we live in the society we're discussing, no? I know, not to use the old white guy excuse, but I know black people. I've talked to them. I've lived amongst them.
I think that
you've been held at gunpoint by them too.
I have been held at gunpoint by them.
I don't buy into this idea of personal truths or the my truth, or personal truth, or anything like that. But when on some things like this, I don't buy into this idea that perception is reality, but people's perception of reality is important. And I'm more concerned, when I talk to people from Black non-believers groups and stuff like that, I want to get what their position, what their impression of what's going on actually is, and where I can or can't offer any actual assistance. It almost doesn't matter how correct they are. I mean, ultimately it does matter. But if they're operating under this particular perception of reality, then I've got to at least deal with that when I'm working with them. Part of that may be to correct it. Maybe they've got some misinformation, but most of it's going to be, what do you need from me to make this better? Do I need to change the way I talk about something, or, do this? Do I need to, take a step back? I don't know. And so I just ask people, what can I do? And if it's something I'm willing to do, which usually it is, then I do it.
You're too much of a people pleaser.
Actually, I don't give a shit about most people. I care about people in the large abstract, I guess.
That's good. All right, I'm glad you're not needling your hands in concern over every time someone doesn't like you.
Yeah, so if I did that, I would have never come on. I was sitting here watching the pre-show, and it's fat Dillahunty over and over and over.
Yeah.
And I'm
yeah,
dude,
that's the chat.
I lost 30 pounds this year. Call me whatever the fuck you want.
Oh, don't.
They're just mean in general.
Yeah,
I wouldn't worry too much about that.
Don't worry. They hate me a lot more than they hate you.
Yeah, it's true.
They even hate me, and they like me. So,
and I'm way fatter than you too. But I'm sure you can tell. I don't need to tell you that. But just
you're rotund.
If the camera
who called into the show once to say I was fat and bald, and I was just like, tell me something I don't know.
Yeah.
How is that relevant to my comment on your religious belief?
It's very relevant. Fat, bald people don't have good opinions.
Bald is beautiful, though, right,
By the
TJ?
way, I sent a
That is
message.
true.
I've only got like maybe 20 minutes or so before I got to bail. And
okay.
Let's take a look at one more video before he goes.
All right.
Let's get off the race thing.
What do you want to see? Do you want to see...
Do we have a crazy people segment?
Oh, we definitely do.
I want to see what Matt knows about some crazy people.
Here's a pretty crazy one.
We're entering into an exciting election year. In just a few short weeks,
listen to the
we're
music.
Know who
This is the best
candidate
music of all
for
time.
president of the United States. Did you know it's estimated that up to 50% of Christians don't even vote? Can you imagine
Good.
what it
Thank
would be
God.
like if Christians just took the stewardship of their vote
relieved.
seriously? Proverbs 29 verse 2 says, "When the righteous are in authority, the people rejoice. But when the wicked rule, the people groan." So what should we look for in our elected officials? There are three basic biblical qualifications we want to look at. First
Cool.
is their
I
spiritual
think we all know medieval
qualifications,
peasants were
then their
not
character,
groaning. They were
and then
just
their ability.
totally content.
The first qualification is they must be a Christian. Exodus
There you
18:21
go.
says, "You shall select
Sorry,
from
TJ.
all the people men such as fear God."
I don't think they were referring to elections there because, yeah.
Yeah, isn't the elect a thing with Christians?
Yeah, man.
What a candidate professes about God is absolutely critical. It will profound.
Why? Anyone can profess anything about God. If I was running for office and no one knew I was the amazing atheist, I'd be fucking sucking God's dick too, because that's how you get elected in America. Sure, God, why not? I mean, that's all Donald Trump is fucking
I'll
doing.
pray for you.
He called it didn't he call it like 2 Corinthians or something recently? He's like, yeah, I love the 2 Corinthians. That's my favorite book. Also like the 3 Amigos too.
Shape his leadership. Genuine reverence for the Lord is the foundation of knowledge, but here's the problem. Men don't truly revere God. We're proud, and we prefer our own opinions as our final authority. So we need a leader.
Are you your own final authority?
Who is alive spiritually and who will lead in the fear of God. The biblical biological requirement for office is you must be male. Civil leadership should be conceived of as an extension of the family and God's created order. God established man as the head of the woman and woman as his helpmate. We're not discussing a person's worth or value. We're simply discussing the roles God has set forth. In society, the same roles apply as
You just have the role of subservience.
Yeah,
it's nothing. It's nothing. It's not a statement about your worth or anything. It's just, you know, you're born to serve. We're born to rule. It's just how it is, man.
Don't be concerned about the title butler, okay? A lot of butlers do real well.
He's ordained in the family and in the church. Exodus 18:21 says, "Select from all the people able men." Numbers 24, God gathered 70 men of the elders of the people.
Yeah.
Deuteronomy 1:13, choose wise, understanding,
I'm
and
convinced.
knowledgeable men. The ministry of justice that God has given to the state.
At least this was
is generally a
disqualify
man's
Hillary,
job.
though. It does have
Yet,
that.
there are
plus.
exceptions in the Bible where God has raised up women like Deborah to judge and even deliver Israel. But it's considered an indictment when there's no strong, godly men to lead and protect their families and society.
Women are a last resort.
Makes perfect sense to me.
Yes,
right. We're all in agreement
He
that
laid
this
out
guy.
strong biblical evidence, dude. I don't know what we can do. We're powerless against him. Matt, do you have any opinions?
It's one of those things where, you know, obviously everybody's well within their rights to vote based on whatever batshit crazy idea they happen to have. I like stuff like this because if they make a good biblical argument, then I think it's useful to use it to expose the hypocrisy of other believers. You know, the kind of like, you know, I've done with slavery and other things like that. I'm not necessarily convinced that this is the best biblical argument, but I think, you know, you could make a case that this is the way you should be voting. That, you know, hey, if God said that he doesn't allow a woman to be in charge of man, but the apologetics reply is going to be that has to do with the church. And I like going back to the statement where Jesus basically claimed that all governments are appointed by God, and so you should do whatever your government says, which makes Christianity directly in opposition to any sort of revolt against the government. Because God's got a plan, and this is all happening according to God's plan, so why should you vote anyway?
Yeah, the government is as it should be, according to God.
The God's plan thing was a linchpin in me becoming an atheist because I could not wrap my head around the idea of Christian free will and God with a plan.
They always seem to contradict one another.
I don't understand how I have free will if God knows well before I'm even created every decision that I'm going to make. And
Venom
every
Thing
hair on
X
my
explained this to me one time.
Did he really?
He did.
Oh, wow. I can't wait to hear
To
this.
your satisfaction?
No, not to my satisfaction. Not to anyone's satisfaction. But he did explain it. Honestly, I could not tell you what he said. I can just tell you that it was like an exercise in total sophistry.
Mental gymnastics.
Nothing, you know, it made no sense. It contradicted itself on several levels. It was horrible. You can go back and watch the episode. It's one of the Drunken Peasants. He was on here. I was very polite. I was very respectful. I was trying to explore Venom Fang's beliefs.
I couldn't believe it, TJ. I think you were shaking. You were being the most respectful you've probably ever been in your life.
That's always been my favorite argument. It's like my pocket argument against religious people. If they'll sit and listen to me long enough, if I can get them to explain to me how I have free will and God has a plan, it really kind of derails the conversation in a way that I really like every time.
Yeah, this actually came up in a slightly different context. I did an episode of Atheistically Speaking last week. It'll be up in a few weeks, a month, whatever. Blake and I had a 2-hour discussion, Blake Junta, on the argument, the divine hiddenness argument. And one of the things that came up, which I think exposed a terrible problem in his position, is that he said, well, I'm not saying that God necessarily wants a relationship with you, but I think he does desire a relationship with you. And he was trying to draw a distinction between want and desire. And in both cases, it came out that it's possible for God to desire a relationship with me, but my free will can prevent that, which means that I'm more powerful than God. God wants something, but he can't have it because I won't give it to him.
That is strange. But God, you got to remember, though, that God set up that. So the only reason God could just make you his slave and be like, yeah, but he doesn't want that.
The only argument
you have to come willingly because God, that's God's design, man.
The only argument that I've ever heard on this subject from a Christian that made any sense to me, and it doesn't even really make sense, but I had this Christian tell me once, God is omnipotent and omniscient. But his omnipotence means that he can avert his omniscience and allow you free will, even though he knows he doesn't know in the moment.
Okay. That's pretty bizarre.
Yeah, that's fine. What you're saying is that God could know, but he doesn't, and he chooses not to.
Exactly.
And that's
So
fine.
God
because
is
nowhere in the
willfully
Bible
ignorant.
does it say that he's actually omniscient or omnipotent or any of the omnis.
Yeah, in fact, a lot of stuff in there makes it seem like he's kind of not, because he goes to the garden afterwards, like, where the fuck is Abel? It's like, don't you know, or are you just being coy, or are you just like playing along? I mean, what's going on?
Would a truly omnipotent, omniscient being ever be angry?
Why would he need to be? Why would he be? Why would he need to flood the earth too? It doesn't make any sense.
It makes it's absurd.
My perfect plan got derailed somehow, so reset. Very strange.
Yeah, you couldn't be surprised, and surprise is the foundation of humor, amongst many other things. But the thing is, in the book that I'm working on is actually called "If I Were God," and one of the kind of foundational ideas is that the classical God tends to be this model of perfection, and so if I were perfect, then I would know everything that I need to know, and I wouldn't have any reason to actually create a universe and let it play out because I know everything would happen. There would be nothing for me to learn from that experience, and so that would make it futile, and I would know that it was futile, and therefore I wouldn't actually do it.
Short book then.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Matt,
God did nothing. The end.
We know you have to go soon. Before you go, is there anything that you haven't covered here that you wanted to share with our audience? Anything you're working on or anything new?
No, I'm doing the videos, working on a book, other stuff, but and I actually, the whole thing with Dusty, I wasn't even going to bother addressing it because when I watched the episode, it was like she was all about my Johnson, and I was like, really, I have to dignify that. But there were a few people who were like, oh, come on, I want to know what's up with the meme. And the thing that I tried to drill in was that my not wanting to deal with Dusty had nothing to do with his opinion on a meme. And when it comes to the meme, my whole take on it is that I understand where it's coming from. We're trying to come up with usages for words that are more clear and that recognize the complexity of the situation. Whether or not this particular one is a good example or not, that's up to you and whoever else. And, are you fine with that usage? But if you come in arguing, well, the dictionary says this, you've already lost, because that tells me enough about how you're thinking. Oh, the dictionary says. Well, the dictionary just describes usage, and that changes all the time. And when the argument is, hey, we'd like to change this usage, and you're saying, but no, it means this, you're no longer talking about the same thing. And that was kind of frustrating. But boundary-wise, I know, hey, there's people's minds who aren't going to be changed, and that's no big deal. But there were enough people saying, oh, you should go. You're such a coward. Why? I was like, for a week and a half, they were like, you're a coward. You haven't gone on Drunken Peasants. I'm like, they haven't even fucking done a show.
Yeah, we haven't even been on the air, so that's not even.
Yeah,
reasonable.
we were gone.
They said we were going to be off for a week or whatever, but you could come on the 22nd. And I was like, okay, deal.
Yep.
How hard was that?
Well, thanks for coming on, Matt.
Yeah.
Thanks for giving us your side of the Dusty thing, as well as your perspective on some other issues.
It was really cool meeting you, by the way. Thank you for coming on. Yeah.
Thanks. Talk to you later.
Later. All right, so looks like we got about an hour left to go here.
Damn. Guest done jettisoned early.
Damn, man.
Break out the pan.
So let's just talk about what was your take on all that?
I felt like it's really hard sometimes to pin him down because he kind of plays these games with words sometimes. Like it's sure, I do it too. Whatever.
I mean, I did.
Like there was times when I really wanted him to take a more concrete stance, and I was kind of getting frustrated at the, I won't say wishy-washiness. I guess I just did, but the I'll just go with wishy-washiness. It's already out there. But for the most part, I really didn't find that I was disagreeing with him too much. I pretty much agreed with most of what he said. I tried to throw in some I found that when I was trying to prod him with certain things, he kind of just clammed up, like he wasn't comfortable talking about certain things I was bringing up. I don't know, but interesting guy. I've honestly, this is like the most I've ever had any experience with him. The only time I've ever watched Atheist Experience, I saw him tear down G-Man.
Oh, really? Well, I mean,
I've never watched an episode of Atheist Experience.
He's taken on way more intelligent people.
Sure, I'm sure he has. But that's pretty much my experience with him. So it was kind of interesting to hear his perspective. And it's, you know, he's one of the few people who are in that sort of feministy camp that has actually been willing to engage in discussion. So I got to give him credit for that.
How solidly is he in that camp? Because after asking him a few questions,
Yeah, you
tonight,
know, it's
I don't really feel that he lines up.
Is it just like a rumor that's unconfirmed?
I think the problem was his early association with Atheism Plus, because he was part of that Free Thought Blogs community thing, and he didn't ditch it.
Yeah, didn't Thunderfoot get banned from that or something?
Did.
Yeah, he did.
He did.
Yeah.
We should have played a Thunderfoot video for him.
Yeah, I don't think he is a fan. But he's not a fan of yours either, though.
Well, you know, he obviously doesn't need to be a fan as a prerequisite for having a fucking discussion.
Right. Exactly.
Give him that much.
Yeah, so.
I like Matt. It did bother me that I asked him if he could say, you know, and I asked him, you know, can black people be racist? Can you give me a hard yes or no? Because it seemed like there is an answer to that question.
The answer to can he give you a hard yes or no is no. The answer to your actual question
is a long digression.
Yeah, that was one of the things I was talking about, where it's like it's difficult to pin this guy because he doesn't want to.
He doesn't want to be pinned.
He doesn't want to define his position very clearly in certain things. Now, maybe that's unfair of me. Maybe that's just because he
I
has
would
like
say
a
that's
nuanced
accurate.
Stance and my little
yeah, I
fucking
mean, to some degree it is a
black
very
and white
nuanced.
mindset just can't process the nuance or something. I'll put that out there for anyone thinking it already, but you know, it did seem kind of dodgy
a little,
but.
I do the same shit, though.
I think that's accurate.
We all do it sometimes.
Everybody hedges, but you know, it was kind of disappointing to see Matt Dillahunty do it for me as a fan of Matt Dillahunty. Once again, I'm not. I don't mean to sound like I'm talking shit about the guy in absentia. I thought he was a great guest and he was really interesting and it was cool to meet him. That was basically my criticism, and I tried to get to it a couple of times and it never really. I don't know. Cool guy.
Sir. Scott.
Yeah. He stretched to impossible angles.
Oh, now I'm back.
Oh,
I'm back
okay.
to normal now.
Sorry.
You're good.
I had a fun time being like that. That was a strange.
Maybe that'll just be the cam for the private show.
No, it wouldn't work.
It wouldn't?
It was really bizarre. Quit fiddle fucking, Ben.
Yeah. I'm watching it. Oh, I guess our audio died when that happened too.
Wow, really?
Crazy.
That's strange.
Oh, it goes to Ben.
Oh, does it? Here you go, Ben. Or not. I don't know. Do you want it or not? Okay, so I guess we got some more videos we can watch. Yeah.
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 I guess I'll just summarize Matt Dillahunty by saying.
Hold on. Let me do one quick thing.
Do we still have no audio or something?
All right.
Do.
Okay.
Do.
Yeah, we're back. So, do you want to play something else?
Sure. Let's take a look. But I just. We don't want to. I don't want to end on a shit talky note with Matt. So I just want to say, you know, a very intelligent guest.
Yes.
Did not disagree with him nearly as much as I thought I would. reasonable views on most things. Just maybe.
Well, you had some preconceived notions.
I did.
As we all did going into this.
Maybe I should have done more research. I didn't really know until last minute that he was going to be a guest. Ben had told me that he might be, and then I kind of figured he wasn't.
He wants Matt wants us to call him back.
Oh, okay.
Okay.
Cool. Huh. Okay.
All right, give the heart. He's going to give the hard answer now.
Maybe he heard all the booty chatter
did.
we've been throwing his direction.
That's why he's coming back.
Awesome.
He's going to come back and give us the hard answer.
Hey, Matt.
Yeah, so I walked downstairs, and I was listening as I walked downstairs, and so no point in leaving anything frustrated. Yes, black people can be racist, provided you're using a colloquial definition of racism. That means, can they be bigoted towards people? If you're using a definition of racism that talks about systemic racism, then in America they can't, because they don't have the power base to do so. It's not that I'm trying to avoid being pinned down on an issue. It's that over the years of doing the TV show and engaging in debates, I am usually very careful about the words that I use so that they're not misused. Because if somebody says, oh, can black people be racist? And I just say yes, then when I'm in another conversation with somebody else who has a different usage, I have to backtrack and then explain. This is what I was talking about when I say, we're trying to put people in boxes and we haven't actually clearly defined terms.
Yeah, but I mean, I think there's just two different camps on the word racism at this point.
You're already qualifying the difference by saying racism and systemic racism. Systemic racism is not racism.
So
it's racism applied over a system. Right. So I don't see the reason why we have to treat them like they're two different words.
Only because there are different usages, and depending on who you're talking to, they're going to have it. I think that I'm not a fan of that particular meme, because I think that systemic racism or institutionalized racism is already a fine label.
Well, let me ask you a question. All right, let's say I'm living in a majority black community. I'm living in an area that's 80% black or something, and all of the social services and stuff like the DMV and all that, it's run predominantly by black people. Let's say that within the context of living in that town, I'm encountering constant racism for being white. I'm being given a different treatment at the DMV or at the grocery store, or everywhere I go. Like, from my perspective at that point, I mean, like, aren't I a victim of systemic racism because the system that I exist within is prejudiced against me?
Yes.
Okay.
To kind of pinpoint that, it just reminded me when I landed in LA, we got in a taxi to take us to where we were staying, and we drove through some predominantly black neighborhoods, and there was a handmade sign hanging on a telephone pole there that said electrical problems, call whatever, on the bottom with a big asterisk, blacks only. And I thought to myself, like, this whole "can blacks be racist"? Is that not? I mean, if it was if a white person did that in a white neighborhood, the fucking news media would be alerted. There would be choppers on the scene. You know what I mean? But because it's in a black neighborhood, I think dithering about whether black people can be racist allows them to continue to be racist. No?
So this is where you get into the difference between like punching down and punching up. I'm really not too concerned. I really don't care if anybody is racist. I would prefer that people not be, but we all are to some extent. I think it's just unavoidable. I don't know. I don't think I've ever met anybody who I would truly say is absolutely not, racist or prejudiced or bigoted in some fashion.
Sure.
But I'm far less concerned if there's a group of people who have in the broader culture been disproportionately the victims of systemic racism, and they want to they end up being a little racist when they get some power in their smaller community. I'm not too bent out of shape about it. I mean, this is kind of the expected backlash. It's not nearly the optimal situation, but I mean, getting back to the kind of thing about pinning me down, one thing is, if you ask me a question where the terms are clearly defined, and as long as we understand what the terms are, then I can either I can give a yes or a no, or a I don't know. But when we start talking about situations that are complex, and when there's a disagreement about what terms mean, that's why I have to put qualifiers on it.
But I mean, doesn't that just get to the point where everything becomes a semantics argument and no one can ever really get to the meat of any issue because we can't agree on terms?
No, semantics are important, actually. Semantics is about what words mean and how can you have a conversation.
Sure, I'm not denying the importance of semantics. I'm just saying that every argument, it seems, turns into a semantic argument at some point. It seems like, we never really address much beyond the semantic.
Yes, I would very much like to be able to address things beyond the definitions. The problem is that, I do a lot of debates against theists. And inevitably, I think my biggest frustration is that they very rarely defend the God that they actually believe in. They defend instead some abstract notion of a God, some first cause or whatever else. And so we spend a lot of time talking about, okay, let's define God and let's define existence.
Right. They make a deistic argument and then draw a theistic conclusion.
Yeah. And so the frustration from that, the debate tactic is to point out that this is what they're doing. Why is it? You believe that there's a guy who came down and took human form and lived a flawless life and performed miracles and died and was resurrected. And you're sitting here saying everything that begins to exist has a cause for its existence. I mean, that's just fucking bizarre.
Yeah.
That we skip past what did it, it's because God doesn't want you to know that he exists. So you have to do these big.
Is there a way, though, to bring it back to our conversation, is there a way for fat white guys to sit around and talk about race? Could we just agree, to set aside the semantic argument and argue the meat of it? Or are we even allowed to do that? Are we even in a position to do that, in your opinion? I mean, because that's...
The question, I guess, is how much value is there in it? So when people start talking about things like, privilege and who does or doesn't have it, I think people get confused and think that, we're talking about white privilege in the United States and I'm white, therefore you think I'm a beneficiary of privilege and, fuck you because I don't make any money and I live in a crappy place and all that other stuff. This thing, we're talking about something that happens at a cultural level, not the level of the individual. And so I think that the only mistake or only problem with having a bunch of fat white guys sitting around talking about racism is that we may not have the right perspective on it, or we're excluding some perspectives. Not that the factual information we have is necessarily incorrect or that we don't have anything to offer. It's just a matter of, okay, maybe there's a way of looking at this that we haven't considered, and it would probably be better to get some people of color involved.
I mean, we've had people of color involved in this discussion here on this show. But
are you counting G-Man?
I am. He's a person of color, isn't he? I'm counting
Matt,
G-Man.
Matt remembers G-Man.
Yeah, he does remember G-Man.
Tim Black?
Yeah.
Tim Black, yeah. Tim Black, who is actually
I wouldn't know.
I don't understand. I mean, I just don't understand, like, the right perspective. I mean, like, what does it mean? What is a right perspective? I mean, it's kind of, on some level, a subjective matter. I mean, there's certainly elements of it that are objective, and there's elements of it that are subjective. But I just don't understand, like, there's always going to be perspectives that aren't included in every conversation because there's way too many perspectives to explore. Yep. But I don't think that you can, like, dismiss the value of a bunch of white guys sitting around talking about race just because they're white. That, to me, is racism.
Yeah.
I'm not saying you're doing that. I'm just saying that, that shouldn't be done.
Yeah.
Okay. I think that clarifies what Paul wanted clarified, does it not?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, do you want me to be honest?
Be honest.
It doesn't.
Okay. Well, go ahead then. Lay it out.
It doesn't. It was still a really long answer to. I mean, at first, the qualification bothers me because it's this language problem, right? This privilege problem. Like, there's this argument, right, that you hear a lot, and it's true. Young people of color that live in these poverty-stricken areas don't have very good chances of getting out and being something beyond their upbringing, right? But then we've got people saying, we can't talk about the way they live and what their experience is because we don't know their poverty. We didn't live it. We didn't experience it. Well, people that aren't in poverty, if it's true that it's hard for people to rise up out of the ghetto and influence the world around them, If people that are there now, like us privileged white folk, don't talk about the problems facing the black community, nothing's ever going to get fucking done about it. So to say that we need to grab some guy off the street who's living in the ghetto and bring him in here to have any substance to this conversation, I reject that. Or even I kind of think you did, though. You said in a very nice way. I think you said you'd like to sprinkle some people. You'd like to sprinkle.
The conversation might have more value if we had an additional perspective, if for nothing else than to cross-examine it.
How do you evaluate a conversation? What's the value of this conversation we're having right now? Is it any less valuable because there's not a black man within earshot of us?
It might be, depending on what we're discussing.
I don't think
I'm not
it is.
saying it necessarily is. I'm saying it might be. If there's an aspect of this that I have never experienced and somebody else has experienced, then I'm going to value their input. If for no other reason, then I want to understand why it is that I need to experience this.
We could bring G-Man on.
We could.
See if we see.
I don't know if that would elucidate anything, though.
No, he
very unlikely.
He believes in slavery, so
for
his
for
perspective
clarity,
probably wouldn't add much.
For clarity, Pete, it's not that I'm saying 5 white guys sitting around discussing racism can't have a cogent argument and aren't going to have it say anything of value because there's nobody of color on the panel. That's not it. But I'm saying that if we're acknowledging that we don't know everything about this and that I haven't experienced the things that people of color are telling me about, then I think there may be some value of getting people of color to discuss the issue. It reminds me very much of CNN did this thing of why are atheists so hated, or why do atheists inspire such hatred? So the question was already putting the blame on us. Instead of why is hatred directed at atheists, it was why do atheists inspire hatred? And the panel of people they had on there to discuss it were 2 Christians and a Jew. Now, I think that despite the fact that they might have some knowledge here, that discussion would have benefited from having some atheist involved. And that's all I'm saying, is that discussions about race might benefit on many occasions from having a person of color involved.
I think they might, but not necessarily. They might benefit, but they might not. Maybe it's good.
Yeah, I mean, it could be S.E. Cupp on the panel. I mean, she's probably not going to have anything too insightful to say in defense of atheists. I mean,
it might depend on which atheist. You're right, and it would depend on which person of color you get. If you get the black guy that was in that video, I don't think we've done much to represent the view. So I'm just talking about.
Let's say that I mean, I think it's perfectly possible if one of those people on that panel. I mean, I actually remember the moment you're talking about on CNN, right?
Yeah.
It was on CNN. Yeah, I saw that too. I mean, it was ridiculously one-sided. But I mean, what if one of those Christians had actually had an intelligent commentary about it? Actually understood atheists and their position and didn't say stupid shit. I don't think that it needs to come from an atheist to be valid. I don't think that the conversation is instantly improved just by including an atheist in it. It depends on the atheist. It depends on the people who are not atheists and what they're saying. I mean, like, the ideas are more important than the people, in my opinion.
The reason I answered no
gazillion times. Yep, I'm in complete agreement.
The reason I answered no to your question, TJ, wasn't because I'm not satisfied with Matt's answer. I think I understand why he's giving the answer he's given. I just feel like we spent a lot of time tonight. Maybe this is just my perception, but everybody can tell me if I'm wrong or not. I feel like we spent a lot of time tonight trying to define our terms, and we didn't really need to. And we kind of danced around a lot of issues, and it wasn't until Matt called back that we started hitting, I think, at the cogent points. Because not because we weren't intellectually able to keep up with Matt or vice versa, but because we were just dithering about this language barrier problem.
But I mean,
this
that's so much of discourse, though.
It is. But you were talking about semantics earlier. So much of what we did tonight was semantic, and this last little part has been meat for
90% of the debates I've ever had have been semantic debates.
I hate that.
A famous Galen quote is like, "Everything is language games," and I mean, to a degree, it really is.
Well, it's like Wittgenstein.
Yeah, well, of course.
But
a lot of it is also the fact this is the first time I've been on and the first time we've interacted, and so
That's true.
You know, there's a feeling out portion where you can't get to the shorthand. I mean, we rely on shorthand all the time, and if I'm talking to Seth or JT or somebody else, and I call them up, I can use shorthand and say stuff, and I know that their understanding of what I'm saying is going to be far more accurate than somebody that I'm talking to for the first time. Because you don't know.
They're referencing the same lexicon. And
Well,
shit.
you've got a great point too, because I'm doing something that a lot of people that watch me do with me. I've watched you for a long time, Matt. You don't know who the fuck I am, so I kind of know your argumentation style and know what to expect. I've watched a lot of your debates, a lot of your shows, but you don't know who the fuck I am. So I'm just kind of assuming a familiarity that isn't there yet. So yeah, you're absolutely right on that point.
It happens all the time. It's one of the reasons why I get dumped in buckets. Like I get attacked, in the span of 1 week, for simultaneously by MRAs and feminists on the same thing. It happens.
I've been there.
Yeah, we get that here too.
Sometimes I'm a regressive leftist fucktard, and other times I'm a fucking rape-supporting.
Yeah, you're a
misogynist.
fascist.
It doesn't matter. I could be either.
Sometimes you're a demon.
I'm a demon. Yeah, that's true. All right.
But anyway, I'm still recovering, and I'm feeling a bit kind of feverish. So I'm going to go ahead and go. I'll talk to you guys later.
Thank you, Matt.
Thank you.
Thanks for those. Thanks for coming on to clarify some of that stuff for us.
Sure.
That was awesome. I'm glad that happened.
Yeah, me too. That was a much better conclusion than
I think
the previous one.
I think so.
So.
I still ain't satisfied though.
You're never
you can never satisfy
I know.
Paul.
I love how now every time Paul talks, the chat room's like, "Get Paul off the show."
Shut up, Paul. Get out of here, Paul.
Fucking Paul, just relying on anecdotal evidence.
I know.
Tells a story about leaving the airport. Where's the evidence, Paul? Come on.
I'm coming to
Open
LA
a
to
fucking
kill Paul
goddamn
one.
encyclopedia.
That pussy, by the way, hey, pussy that said you were coming to LA to kill Paul, we were all waiting for it, and you didn't do it.
I'm coming to
We had the
Ohio to kill Paul.
shit.
1. I'm coming to Ohio to kill Paul.
2. It was me the whole time.
Oh,
I was
fuck.
typing it underneath the desk
I
on my
knew it.
phone.
Just a reminder: tomorrow, 6 p.m. Eastern,
private show.
We're gonna get
drunk.
fucked up.
Paul says he's not going to get drunk.
I'm going to get drunk. I actually made the decision. I'm going to get fucking drunk.
Yeah.
Paul's gonna be drunk. TJ's
And who
gonna be
knows
drunk.
how-
Bed's gonna be drunk.
Yeah.
Everyone's gonna be
Who knows how long the show's gonna last at
Who knows?
that point?
I have to
7
physically
hours.
and mentally prepare myself for the show because it's going to be fucking insane.
It's gonna be crazy.
We're going to have hookers.
Maybe not. hookers.
Paul and I are gonna do some sort of game stream.
Yeah.
At some point too. Who knows when?
Hopefully after the drinking.
We're not going to do story time every episode. Y'all.
No. I don't even have that lined up.
People,
for this
people
episode.
in the chat are saying this shit.
Oh.
Story time. Story time.
No.
Sorry, guys. I've got one story time a week, man.
Yeah, man.
Be content with what we give you.
Be content
Peons.
with what the fuck you get, faggots.
Content yourself with the scraps from my table.
So, what would you like to do? We have about 30 minutes.
I don't know. I'm going to go take a piss. You'll have figured it out by the time I get back.
Awesome.
All right. TJ's going to take a piss.
Finally.
Take one for me, too. If I get up, my camera's going to be fucked. So I'm just going to plant my fat ass here. And
For any of our listeners out there that do happen to be wrestling fans, we were recently contacted by Jim Cornette, and we're going to see what we need to do to get him to come on the show soon.
So stoked.
Shut up, Jackie.
You know, Jim Cornette was Yokozuna's manager for
I
a
know.
while.
That's where I know him from.
Yes.
Because I was a huge Yokozuna fan.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I'm that's exciting.
Yes. It's pretty awesome. Maybe we could have him on after the Royal Rumble, like maybe a few days after that.
We're gonna need like a fucking wrestling spoiler for all the whiners.
I get to watch that with you guys.
Yeah.
too. That's gonna be so much fun.
It's gonna be fucking sweet.
Yeah,
the Royal Rumble is just such a long and cool event. It's a great main event.
It's the best one.
Yeah,
in my opinion.
It's the only main event I've ever been at physically. I was at a Royal Rumble in Fresno, California.
You know, Scotty's gonna miss the Rumble, y'all.
Really?
No, I'm not gonna miss it.
He wants to watch some faggot ass football.
Oh, I'm not gonna miss it.
Gonna
though.
watch some real sport bullshit.
Just
TiVo it.
Watch
honey.
men in tights fucking hug each other, Scotty. Come on.
Which football game is it?
He's gonna be watching the Cardinals versus the.
I think the NFC
Panthers,
Championship.
Right? Yeah. He's a faggot.
I'm still the game.
People in the chat room were like, "Fuck WWE, UFC." It's like they're not even in the same realm.
It's not even the same kind of thing, you stupid fucks. Also, WWE is way better than UFC. All right, this is UFC. All right, you pay like that Conor McGregor fight. All you morons fucking paid for or pirated.
I
or whatever
paid for
you
it.
did. Motherfucking fight was like 3 seconds long. That would never happen in WWE. You'd fucking get a fucking match, all right? Fucking main event's gonna be like 20 minutes long at least.
Yeah. The Royal Rumble, it's gonna be way longer.
Yeah, I'm talking about just in.
Oh, in general, yeah, 30
fucking
minutes.
piece of shit. Quit stepping on my shit. Fucking faggot.
Shit. Stop.
Quit it.
Fuck
You're gonna
you,
break
TJ.
this mic too. I already broke one.
Good. Break your fucking face tonight, bitch.
That's another Limp Bizkit fucking line.
Break your fucking face tonight! Give me something to break! Don't you know I pack a chainsaw? I'll skin your ass raw!
Not looking to screw on the first date.
You know,
That actually is a Fred Durst quote.
The fact that Fred Durst isn't super famous anymore is one good thing about it not being the 90s anymore. I will say that.
I agree.
But honestly, even like when I listen to the shit that's popular now, I kind of even miss Limp Bizkit because
Me too.
goddamn,
Their first album was good. I'm sorry to tell you. $3 bill, y'all. I fucks with it.
$3 bill, y'all. He's not a good rapper.
He's not.
No.
He's a good, rap rocker, though.
Yeah, but that's not popular no mo.
No, it ain't.
He's done. So I guess we could play a video or something, right?
Yes.
Play a fucking video, Ben.
Let's do.
What's that fucking?
This is a video to you from an otherkin.
Oh, great.
I know TJ doesn't want to watch it, which is why we're going to
You're gonna
play
be
it.
fucking taking it task.
Shut up.
Yeah.
Shut up.
We make TVids.
This is bad.
Prepare to be owned.
Oh my
Yeah.
God, it's still going.
Hey guys, I didn't want to make this video, but I almost feel obligated to now
they
because
feel
of the recent
obligated.
drama.
He is okay.
and
What kind of
occurrences
kid is
that's been
he?
happening on not only
Pause
YouTube.
it.
Get
Pause
this
it.
Down syndrome motherfucker off my screen, yo.
What kind of kin do you think this guy
He
is?
said he was Squirrelkin or something.
He's Squirrelkin?
That's what he fucking said. I thought.
You notice whenever
What?
somebody
I didn't hear him say that.
somebody starts a video with "I didn't want to make this video," you know it's going to be shit
Yeah, man.
immediately.
I didn't want to do the show tonight, but
Guys, didn't want to be here
just felt
tonight.
obligated to do it. You know.
Just
Tell-
have to.
Speak my mind.
This recent
But
drama.
Tumblr, Facebook,
Tumblr.
pretty much any website where the other can reside on.
They reside there. They live there.
And if it weren't for the amazing atheist, us
Yeah,
otherkin would be
dick.
better off because now on Tumblr we're being
Okay, you guys think you're
Troll.
fucking dragons and shit.
Troll.
Yeah, I think so
Yeah.
too. But you guys think you're dragons and shit, so I don't think I is the one that fucked your shit up, okay? Pretty sure I was.
You is the one that fucked it up, TJ.
Pretty
You
sure I
is.
just. I mean, I barely even did anything. All I did was make.
You made videos that are popular.
I made 2 videos being like, "Oh, otherkin, that's weird." The
Wait.
end.
You attack them.
Are you saying, TJ, that you weren't the catalyst that caused them to believe something that's patently absurd and then blog about it publicly?
Yeah.
Okay, Paul.
Somehow
TJ
it wasn't
caused
my
deaths.
fault.
TJ killed people by making these
People
videos.
killed themselves
Yes.
because of my video.
You're the emotional trauma you caused, TJ.
Dozens.
You're a murderer. You should be in prison right now.
Damn right. There was other kin that literally said I should be in prison because.
Well, they're right.
You should be.
and constantly spammed with hate. People are going to our blog, sending us death threats, telling us to kill ourselves.
Wow,
No, no,
TJ
no,
Law.
you're a liar.
And that's all thanks to the amazing atheist because
Yeah,
he
fuck
put it
this
out
guy.
there.
Trollkin.
Yeah, I put it out there.
Yeah.
It was me. No one else knew about otherkin until I made that video.
It was him furtively sitting in his bedroom late at night, coming up with which fictive
videos
kin he was going to be. I think I'm Inuyasha from Dokopon Kingdom.
Someone in the chat said that they're Anakin.
Anakin.
I'll just say that, like the videos of the amazing atheist report a message of suicide, hate, and all. What was that they used to say about Manson? Because they're basically using that on you.
Kill your parents. Kill your family.
You're
Rape your
insane,
sisters.
crazy people who are mentally unstable, which that's not true. You can't generalize a whole group of people to being one thing.
Yeah.
Yeah, you can in this instance.
TJ, you fucking asshole.
No, I mean, I totally can.
Okay, but all these fucking Tumblrites were using that on TJ. They were saying, "Oh my God, there's all this mental illness."
Yeah, that was
here.
another
How-
thing. Is like
you're a horrible person.
That was one of the main arguments they
This is
kept
a
using
coping
against me,
mechanism.
is like, we're, you know, a lot of mentally ill people in the other kin community. Yeah, like, no shit. That's what I'm fucking talking about it for. It's like this unchecked paragon of fucking mental illness. And all I didn't even fuck with them, really. I didn't go to, like, their blog, be like, fuck you, I didn't kill yourself. None of that. All I did was, like, make a video being like, man, this shit's weird, huh?
We disagree on otherkin, by the way, TJ.
Do we?
I don't think they're mentally ill. I don't think most of them
You
are.
just think they're attention-seeking?
Some of them are. Yeah, I think it's hardcore, like, I'm a special fucking person, and I'm not special enough in real life. In real life, I'm just mundane and uninteresting. So instead of reading a book, I'm going to come up with, like, this fucking special thing and expect everybody around me to, like, kowtow to my little fantasy
They
world.
used to just I mean, can we just go back to when people faked mental illnesses? Like,
yeah,
I'm bipolar, OCD, schizoid, narcissist. I've got like every mental illness.
It's not trendy
known to
enough.
man.
Now you have to
But
be a
that's not
fucking.
cool enough
You have to be a
anymore.
dragon now, dude.
Now you gotta be a squirrel with an astral tail who hungers for nuts.
And they'll always qualify it by saying, you know, psychology has studied this species dysmorphia disorder. Like any of these little, like, 14-year-old white girls who are like, I'm a cosmic body kin, I'm a star kin, and I'm a Pokemon kin. Have fucking species dysmorphia. Give me a fucking break. They just want people to think they're special. And they don't want to do the work to get there. And that, but see, it does have a mental illness component because that.
But it's the attention seeking.
That hurts people that are actually mentally ill because it makes people look at all mental illness dismissively. Anecdotally speaking.
Paul, you're just depression kin, you fat fucking tub of shit. That's your problem. You're just trying to be special.
Yep.
You're depression kin.
Just want people to love me.
Everything should just be kin now.
No.
I'm water drinking kin.
I'm Brett Keen kin.
Ew. Ugh. You took it too far, Paul. You're sick.
You can't do that.
Yeah.
And the only reason why he's making these videos is to get YouTube money because.
Yeah. Huh. Wow.
Shocker.
What do you? Yeah, duh.
Sherlock Holmes cracked the fucking
no
case.
fucking shit. Yeah, I want the YouTube money.
These guys in the NFL, I think they're only playing for like money and prestige.
You know, the only reason they even put out this new Star Wars movie was to make money.
This fucking guy's insight is brilliant. Yeah. Brilliant. Oh wait, TJ.
Serene and scintillating.
You make videos from money?
The only reason he does his job is for money.
Holy shit.
All right, let's
What
watch
a
another
sick
one.
Fuck.
Let's do this one.
So I have a question for you.
Okay.
Are you non or are you anti? Several months ago, in response to Ferguson,
I'm neither of those
Baltimore,
bullshit.
I'm not your false
killings of
dichotomy.
Freddie Gray
How about that?
and Tamir Rice, my friend Caitlin put up a Facebook post breaking down the difference between non-racism
A
and
Facebook
anti-racism.
post.
Most of us are non-racist.
My friend
because
Bob
racism is
Marley
looked
put
upon
up a
as some
Facebook
moral.
post, man. He put up a post, man. We chief that fucking good ganja, man, like good Rastafari. Bless up to the Most High.
Sweet.
Are we the racist peasants podcast now, Paul?
Sorry.
God.
Fucking
Check
sick
your fucking privilege.
racist piece of shit. That's not the kind of humor we do here on the Drunken Peasants
A
podcast.
Facebook post.
Apparently, Paul, you're replacing Ben.
What?
I don't know.
I'm sitting here like a
Paul is a non-racist.
No, he's covering me.
Oh.
Ben just put you where he usually is.
Got it.
Anyway, I'm going to play more of this bullshit.
Go ahead.
Bitch. You know, one of the things that really takes me out of planes, trains, and automobiles is this is related. Don't look at me like I'm fucking talking crazy shit here. The movie is pretty much comedically flawless throughout, in my opinion.
Agreed.
But there is this moment where I think it was John Candy doing like a Jamaican accent, but it's fucking horrible.
Oh, is it Cool Runnings?
No, not Cool Runnings. Planes, Trains, and Automobiles.
Oh, wow, that's weird.
Yeah, there's a point where he does a Jamaican accent, and it's like awful. And I love John Candy. I love that movie. But, you know, it would have been a lot better if he would actually be able to do it. Anyway, that's barely related, but...
I don't remember what scene that was.
It was at the end when they're in the hotel, like the car's been burned out.
You're right. I didn't even know.
They're getting drunk together. They're eating snack food. They're finally fucking kind of having like this bonding friendship moment after all this hostility.
Play the video.
I didn't get the joke for years
Hold
because
on.
I didn't know.
Lapse. We feel quite self-assured by simply not being racist. I'm not a bigot. I don't sing that N-worm when my favorite rap jam comes on. I didn't vote for that guy.
I do.
I'm not burning any crosses.
I don't listen to much
I'm not
rap,
a skinhead. I don't, I won't, I'm not, I've never, I can't. What you end up with is an entire moral stance, an entire code for living your life and dealing with all the injustice in the world.
I don't want to steal your idea about the shirt, TJ, but do you want to do that now? Because that was a good insight earlier.
They can't see his shirt, but this guy is wearing a David Bowie shirt.
Oh, yeah, let me...
Yeah, and I don't know if he's already said it because I was barely paying attention, but he says something about not appreciating artists who have been accused of rape.
Yeah,
or something.
musical artists.
Yeah, and he's of course wearing the shirt of a musical artist that a bunch of SJWs are currently accusing of rape.
You know what? I had never heard
of... a 15-year-old girl in the 70s and no one ever proved anything but
I had never heard of those allegations before. I don't know.
The media covered it up because David Bowie is just a little golden goat.
Now he's dead and the truth comes out at last.
You're not doing a damn thing. That's the great thing about none. You can pull it off by simply rolling over in your bed and going to sleep.
What do you want me to
So
do?
why are you sitting at home and watching things unfold on TV instead of doing something about it? Because you're a non-racist, not an anti-racist. Now do this for me.
I'm fine with that.
Take the C out of racist and replace it with a P. I'm not a rapist. I'm not friends with any rapist. I didn't buy that rapist last album. All these
Now
things
you just jump the
that
shark.
Was the moment. I didn't buy that rapist last album. All this shit.
Yeah.
You know, rapist. I mean, like, it doesn't even. It does. The argument doesn't even make sense because I mean, just being a non-rapist is enough. You don't have to go out with a shotgun and fucking hunt rapists to be against rape.
Let's go rapist hunting, TJ.
It's time to kill us some rapists.
You know what we need to do?
Time to take justice in our own hands.
You know what we need to do, TJ? We need to dress our girlfriends up all slutty like. Take them to the seedy part of town. But be up in a perch with a gun.
Yeah, with a sniper rifle.
Every time one of these rapists comes along and tries to hunch over one of our girls, we shoot him in the fucking head.
Bam, bam, bam.
They fucking dead.
Bam.
Then we'll really be anti-rape.
And if you don't do that, you're pro-rape.
Pro-rape.
Not doing. Meanwhile, people still and black boys are being killed. It's not enough that you don't do these things.
It is
You're
enough.
going to bed with a clear conscience is not going to stop college students
Holy
from
shit.
getting assaulted. You thinking climate change is terrible is not going to stop climate change.
Yeah.
You being so assured that you're not anti-black, anti-Muslim won't stop the next
Why are they
hate
showing
crime.
these extreme examples here? Like this motherfucker? I mean, seriously?
You're him.
Well, he's trying to tell you, Ben, is that just because you're not a racist doesn't absolve you of guilt for this fucking asshole making a clown of himself marching down the street Sieg Heiling. You don't get to extricate yourself from him just because you don't believe black people are inferior.
Just because you reject him and his philosophies and ideals completely doesn't
You're not
mean that
actively
you're not
protesting.
culpable for them somehow.
Just because
you're
don't-
not actively going out there
I
and
have
beating
created
the
a standard
shit out of him.
Yeah, and you're not making the standard.
Look at
you're not
him.
living up to the standard, so you're therefore inferior. You're not doing it. You're a non-participant,
I mean,
Paul.
he just looks like a total asshole.
Well, he
Like,
obviously is.
I mean, look at him.
You don't know. He might be a nice guy.
I don't feel bad about
God,
making...
TJ, the constant contrarian. He could be a totally nice.
I'm not saying. I mean, if
Yeah,
you're black,
he's like that.
probably not. But
Yeah, yeah,
maybe
yeah.
maybe you go
Or
to his house
Jewish,
and he'll be
or
like,
anything but what he
right.
is.
But if you're white, maybe he's a nice guy.
so you mean you, TJ? Because I'm sure he'd be cool with you.
oh no,
be
TJ's
nice
not
to
a
me.
Protestant.
Yeah.
he might be nice.
He could
He might
pretend.
buy me a beer or something. I don't know.
You know what? I don't feel the least bad about making fun of this guy for his Jamaican accent earlier because he doesn't get to extricate himself from the actions of his other countrymen. He's directly responsible for the way that Jamaicans portray themselves, so I don't feel bad about making fun of him
And it's
for that.
wonderful that you recognize how brave gay people are when facing persecution, but they aren't the ones who need to be brave. We need to get active. We need to hold people accountable. We need to accept that what hurts one of us hurts all of us.
No, that's not true. There's plenty of things that only hurt some of us.
Yeah.
And the rest of us are fine or even benefit from it. I mean, that's fucked up, but it's the truth.
Stop thinking that injustice going on in the world isn't to an extent our fault.
How is what this guy's doing in this video any different from what he's railing against? Like, is him making this YouTube video talking about, we need to take a stand?
Oh, God, this is a screenshot right here.
Why? I don't see it as that screenshotty, but maybe.
I would say it is. I'm sure the chat will agree.
Where did he get that scar on his face? I want to know.
Who knows?
In the
It could have been
ghettos.
anything.
None.
Hope he was in a knife fight.
Racism
That's it?
is a business. For centuries, it has underpinned global.
Okay.
Okay.
That was pretty empty and lame.
Poopy.
Poopy.
There was poop.
You know, I'm going to check really quick. I think the T-shirt goals may have been met. Let's see. Yeah, there's... Yeah, all of them ended except for the Get Owned by Jim Ass for some reason.
Yeah.
It relaunched somehow.
That's really strange.
Jim hacked your fucking T-shirt machine.
But everything else is ended.
Yeah. Yeah, we'll have to relaunch that shit.
I have a beautiful dark gray with a black logo Dinor shirt.
You gotta wear that shit.
I have a white one.
It's waiting for me. Well, it's waiting for me in Texas when I go back.
That's gay.
But I ordered it. I was trying to get it for the hangout. But yeah, dude, badass shirt.
Gay, gay, gay.
Ashley's got hers. It's pretty awesome.
No one wants to hear about fucking Yoko, dude.
Always bringing her up.
Yeah.
It's like ever since Ashley came in the picture, all you fucking talk about Ashley.
Ashley totally needs to be in the band. Come on.
I mean, like, I don't think we've gone 2 minutes in this show tonight without hearing about fucking Ashley.
No.
Come on, Paul.
The constant barrage.
Get
of
your
Ashley.
fucking shit together, you fat tub of shit.
Oh, Ashley.
You know, I know tub of shit is not a very creative insult, but it's really fun.
It's really good, isn't it?
It is. It's stings.
Tub in and of itself is
A great
You're
word.
not but a tub of shit.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's even better. So we got.
You're a tub of shit.
Do we have
though,
more
TJ.
time to kill, or what's going on?
We got
Time
about
to kill.
15 minutes. Is there anything else you want to talk about?
I guess we could maybe reminisce about LA some more.
Yeah.
I mean,
how deep do we want to go in our reminiscences, though?
I don't know, man.
I mean, because some
Balls
crazy shit.
deep.
Some crazy shit.
There really was no crazy shit though. Cause
no, we mostly just hung
every
out.
night, every day was like, man, we gonna go to the.
I was gonna
Hollywood
do
Bowl,
some shit,
and we gonna.
but then I got high.
We gonna go walk Santa Monica, and we gonna go to the
I did
Viper
do those
Room
things.
and shit.
We actually did that more than you did, TJ.
But every
we walked
day-
around and
pretty much
experienced
okay,
the city.
but at least for me and Paul, every day was pretty much like, let's sit at this table on the back porch and talk and smoke.
Okay, you know
for
what's
9
funny?
hours straight.
I think it was like the third day. Ben came to me. He's like, "Man, Paul's just gonna say the same shit. Man, let's go out and do shit." And then the TJ and Paul are gonna get really fucking high, and it's not gonna happen.
I
I'm
felt
yeah,
kind of
you're right.
bad because Beyond Fear was like kind of I was showing her around LA and stuff, and she would she'd call me every day, and she'd be like, "Oi, we're gonna go out today, see something American." And I was like, "Yeah, let's just go over to the the peasants compound first." And she'd be like, "Oh shite," because she knew like as soon as I got there, TJ was gonna be like, "Let's smoke a bowl and talk about life," and like it was gonna be 9 hours later, and we were gonna just order pizza again.
We ordered
like
pizza
4 times.
So many nights we
4
ordered fucking
times
pizza.
that we were there. Pizza was ordered.
Scotty took a pizza and.
Oh, that was great. Oh, that was great. That was great. We got to
That's
tell
a
that.
great moment.
All right. So
A pimp
the
monk.
night after the hangout, right?
Not the night after, the night of the hangout. The
when
after
we got
party.
back home, we
Yeah.
we ordered pizzas and shit because we were hungry and there was we didn't want to go out. We were drunk and all this stuff. And Pimp Monk was there too. That's kind of unrelated.
Oh my
but
God, he was trash.
It is sort of related. Paul, I'm just gonna pass you the baton for a second
All right.
here.
Maybe there is a story time with
Yeah,
Paul tonight.
kind of.
So Scotty, as you know, doesn't eat meat. He's a vegetarian guy. He likes his vegetarian pizzas. So we were trying to be nice. And we ordered several pizzas for everybody with meat on them. And we ordered Scotty his very own medium-sized veggie pizza, whatever the fuck the veggie pizza was, right?
Yes.
And so Scotty is gone, like he's in the back room or something, and we're all starting to eat, and Scotty comes out and he goes, "Oh, you guys ordered food, huh?" And we're like, "Yeah." And he's like, "Oh, pizza?" And then TJ's like, "Yeah, Scotty, we ordered you a medium veggie pizza." And Scotty goes, "I don't even want this fucking pizza." He opens it and looks at it and he goes, "No, I didn't ask for pizza." And he punches the pizza. Right? Now, meanwhile, you got to keep in mind, I'm standing in the kitchen laughing my ass off. Pimp Monk, on the other hand, who is from Missouri, and that's a very poor area of the world. He's looking at this like, is he
from Missouri or
Mississippi? Sorry,
Oh, okay.
I get those mixed up. Mississippi,
It's
but
totally
anyway,
different.
Yeah, but whatever. It's still poor as fuck. Like Pimp Monk probably has never done that to a pizza. Let's just put it that way. I never have either, but whatever. I didn't care. Scotty punches this pizza and grabs it and he goes, "You know where this pizza belongs? Right here in this motherfucking trash can." And he just literally folds the pizza box with the pizza in it, not a slice eaten, in half, and just stuffs it in the garbage. And Pimp Monk just looks at me and he goes, "Can he do that?" And I was like, "Can he do what?" He's gonna throw that whole pizza away? And I was like, "Yeah, Pimp Monk." And he goes, "Well, can he do?" And I was like, "Do you want it?" And he's like, "No." And I was like, "Neither do I. If he don't want it, he can do what he want with it." But yeah, no, that was a good. Pimp Monk was fucking trash.
Oh my god, he was so trash.
We were all fucking trash.
What was he saying?
We were in the back. Me and Paul were in our usual spots in the backyard, sitting at our respective spots on the table.
Yeah.
Pimp Monk, who does not smoke weed,
ate gummy bears.
He was eating like these gummies that are like THC heavy.
They're strong.
I went.
Paul was trying to caution him.
I tried. I went to a dispensary and got a bunch of really potent shit, and I was like, "Look, guys," I told everybody, really. Because you guys don't have a lot of that around here.
No.
So I was like, "Guys, this stuff will mess you up. It takes a long time to kick in, but just eat one or two, chill for 30 minutes, and if you're not super high, eat another."
Yeah.
But Pimp Monk, so I told Pimp Monk, eat 2.
Yeah, but I was like, "Come on, don't be a pussy. Eat 3 or 4,
Because me and TJ, we don't really subscribe to that rule. We were just eating and fucking spraying and smoking and like any type of THC we could get.
If there was a nurse there with like THC drips, sir, we'd have been like,
"Yep, hook it up."
Yep.
But Pimp Monk, so Pimp Monk eats 2, and TJ's like, "Eat 3, Pimp Monk, don't be a bitch." And Pimp Monk's like, "I'm gonna go with Paul," so he eats 2. Like half an hour later, out of the corner of my eye, I see TJ, the fucking demon that he is, going eating some more edibles.
And mind you, they had been drinking for like 4 hours.
Yeah, wasted. And Pimp Monk just grabs the bag and eats like 4 or 5 of them. I was like, "Oh, there goes his night."
Yeah, and then for the rest of the night, me and Paul were talking in our usual position. Pimp Monk was off to the side of us like...
He was literally out, and then he would like every once in a while because like we just forget he was there, and me and TJ would go on philosophizing, and then Pimp Monk every once in a while he'd wake up
and what would he say?
And like his eyes wouldn't focus, and he would just grunt incoherently at us. We'd try and calm him. We'd be like, "Pimp Monk, you all right, man? You just got real high," and he'd be like, "I don't even where do we? I don't fucking gummy bear, man." I didn't believe it. And then like 5 seconds later, he would just lose consciousness and just list back into this pile.
Happened like 8 times.
Yeah, I was real worried because I felt kind of responsible for the guy. I wanted to get him back to his hotel, and I didn't want to dump him on you guys.
Don't want him shitting his pants.
So I was real glad that like about an hour later, he seemed to come out of it enough to get in an Uber and get on home. But man, yeah, the weed got on top of Pimp Monk.
It was that kiss. Your kiss was so
he was intoxicated.
He was falling asleep so he could dream.
TJ, do you remember the fucking brownie?
Oh, dude, I ate those brownies. Fuck.
Paul got these brownies. There's like 2 to a pack.
They look like just little brownies.
And like, and by the time we eaten a couple edibles, we're like, we're not gonna get so fucked up. And like, me and TJ like ate at the same time, like pretty much ate a brownie. We're like, who cares? We're smoking tons of weed, spraying this. What was this? The tincture
shit, and we're eating all kinds of the edibles and shit.
And then like, we're gonna see a movie at like 8 o'clock, and it's like 4 hours. We're gonna go see a movie. movie at the ArcLight. It's gonna be great.
Nope.
Like 7 o'clock rolls around. I am in my room. Like, what is the meaning of existence? And
I warned you guys about those.
I went to TJ and I'm like, TJ, we can't go to the movie. And he's like in his bed, like, I'm paralyzed.
I warned you guys specifically about those brownies too. When I brought those, I was like, these are the fucking.
Yeah, but I
have half of one.
I don't take that shit seriously though.
I know.
Yeah, we didn't.
Because I feel like I'm pretty hardcore with the green.
I didn't hear that advice. Maybe I would have taken that advice. I just ate.
Yeah,
the
you
whole-
did it. You did it the next day, and you were like just like we were. You woke up, you like looked at us for a second. You're like, "Is there food?" Like, no. Bye.
I gave one of those each to Ashley and Beyond Fear. I ate 2, and we went to the Natural History Museum. Like, I was tweeting rocks and being like, I found the atheist Roo rock, because it was called Beta Fight.
Huh.
I don't know. Like, I was high, and
you're regressive.
I was just obnoxious as fuck.
Didn't you say it's some rock called like Grossular?
Yeah, Grossular. I was like, this is the Brett Keane rock. But the problem was, I wasn't just taking pictures quietly. I was announcing it to the whole fucking room of people that were there with their kids to look at rocks.
This is like Brett Keane. Little kids like, what's that man talking about, Mom? Just come along.
We were all like stage 8 high in public at a public museum. Like, it was insane. It was great, though.
Yeah, dog.
It's fucking brownies, man.
Everyday racism.
Pretty
It's all
awesome.
good. Anyway.
Yeah.
Show's over, right?
Yeah. So all the patrons that are $5 or above that your transaction went through.
Tune in tomorrow.
Yes.
We
6
will be
p.m.
doing the private show. Paul will get drunk. TJ will get drunk. Scotty will get drunk. Ben will get drunk. The show won't even make any fucking sense.
Yeah.
It's gonna be awesome. Things will
I have
happen.
so
People will
many.
die.
I have so many crazy ass weird videos that I could never play on the regular show.
Sick.
Ben's got videos that you can't even show on YouTube.
Too hot for
videos
YouTube.
too crazy
Yes.
to even fucking perceive or understand.
Yes. So, good night, everybody.
Peace. Love you guys.
Good night.
See you on Monday.
Smoke weed every day.
Every day. Hey, hey.
And every night.